Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Transmigrated as a Kanto gym leader. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 121, Damn. Not this guy again. Evil organization gathering illegally? Lance, who was deep in the wilderness, frowned upon hearing this. What does this mean? Sir, I've received reliable intel. Team Rocket and Unova's Team Plasma, these two snake-in-the-grass organizations, are conducting a dirty deal. As far as we know, 3 Rocket executives and the Rocket leader himself will show up, and from Team Plasma, their king and a scientist will also be present. Sir, they need your righteous judgment now. Dylan spoke rapidly, leaving the girl behind him, Lily, utterly confused. Lance's usually calm face also changed swiftly. The cold, shadowy look in his eyes was terrifying. Team Rocket's leader. Your dragon is nothing special. That person's words seemed to echo once again in Lance's mind. His face twisted uncontrollably, his mouth twitching up and down, as if trying to smile but failing, creating an eerie, unsettling look. Are you finally going to show yourself again, you filthy rat? Being mocked by the despised leader of Team Rocket like that was something Lance could not endure. After all, it was only Team Rocket. Team Rocket, who could only hide in the dark sewers, feeding on dirty water like filthy rats. A bunch of reptiles afraid of sunlight. Location. Lance's voice had grown rougher. Saffron City. Half an hour, wait for me. With that, the call abruptly ended. Dylan's lips curled into a slow grin. Well, things are getting interesting now, aren't they? Leah had already re-emerged and sat in Dylan's car. Dylan immediately reversed the car and drove to a higher vantage point overlooking the area ahead. It was an industrial park near the outskirts of the city, with plenty of factories around. Hello? Officer Jenny? I'm a gym trainer from the Rota Gym, and I'm here with Champion Lance for a secret operation. We need your assistance, but this is a classified mission, and we cannot disclose the details to others. Dylan paused for a moment, but eventually called Saffron City's police department. The industrial park was likely going to turn into a battlefield soon, and they needed to evacuate the workers beforehand. Though this might alert the enemy, it wasn't a big issue. They had enough time. Meanwhile, in the underground factory, there was a small Team Rocket base. Please wait a moment, our boss will arrive shortly. Archer smiled with his hands behind his back. Team Plasma sending their king over was undoubtedly a sign of respect for Team Rocket. Since it was a collaboration, Team Rocket had to show sincerity in return. And, the leader of Team Plasma, personally came to Kanto, so naturally, Team Rocket's boss would also make an appearance. This wasn't someone Archer, one of Team Rocket's 4 commanders, could receive alone. No problem, we're not in a hurry. Anne remained silent, while Kores, who was reading a book on genetics, casually replied. The reason Kores accompanied Anne to Kanto was clear. Anne was highly intelligent, but he wasn't particularly enthusiastic about working with Team Rocket. However, after much persuasion from Getsus, Anne reluctantly agreed. Under these circumstances, expecting Anne to negotiate well with Team Rocket was impossible. Hence, Kores was sent by Getsus. Moreover, since both sides were exchanging technological expertise, Kores was the ideal candidate for the discussion. Getsus specifically instructed Anne to follow Kores' lead during this mission. Trusting Getsus completely, Anne agreed. Archer smiled as he left the room, where Proton stood with his arms crossed, leaning against the wall. How's it going? Not great. Anne doesn't seem too enthusiastic, and it feels like Kores is the one in charge here. Archer shook his head. He had a keen sense of these things. I don't know why, but I've got a bad feeling about all this. Archer furrowed his brows, feeling uneasy, as if something bad was about to happen, but he couldn't pinpoint why. Relax, you're just paranoid lately. Is it because of that beatdown you got from Dylan and Red last time? Proton grinned, teasing his colleague. Don't worry, Archer, Dylan's not here this time. Just avoid him in the future. Proton, although shaken by the incident at Celadon City's base, considered himself an optimist. If you lose, it's no big deal. Shut your mouth. Archer's face twitched as he glared at Proton. The events at the Celadon City base had become a mental scar for him. Proton raised his hands innocently. Not long after, a slightly overweight middle-aged man wearing a black bowler hat and a black trench coat walked over slowly, followed by a young woman with black hair wearing a white Team Rocket uniform. Boss. Archer and Proton greeted the disguised Giovanni with respect, and Archer opened the door for him. Giovanni and the woman entered the room to discuss the collaboration. Outside, Proton leaned back against the wall again while the black-haired woman closed her eyes, resting. So boring. By the way, Sabrina, the 3 Legendary Birds project is about to start. Which one were you assigned? Sabrina didn't seem to notice his question, as if she hadn't heard him at all. Come on, don't be so cold, Sabrina. We're colleagues after all. Oh yeah, do you know Dylan? I heard all the gym leaders are in a group chat, right? That guy is insane. Last time, he really wiped the floor with me. It felt like he was treating me like some bug catcher on the side of the road. No idea how he trains his Pokemon. Sabrina, irritated by Proton's constant chatter, finally opened her eyes and gave him a sideways glance. You're just too weak. What's with that look, Sabrina? It's not my fault. That guy's way too strong. Proton, sharp as ever, picked up on the meaning behind Sabrina's look and helplessly defended himself. Yeah, right. Sabrina nodded and closed her eyes again, hoping Giovanni would finish the meeting soon. Hey, Sabrina, do you think I should ask Lambda to help me disguise myself and challenge Dylan's gym? I haven't had many missions lately. Proton stroked his chin, seeming to seriously consider the idea. What are you talking about? Sabrina instantly opened her eyes and stared at Proton with a baffled expression. Don't look at me like that. It's just that I don't get it. Archer's been acting weird since Dylan and Red wrecked him. I heard Rota Gym accepts double battles. So, I'm thinking, why not team up with Archer for a gym challenge? The gym leaders gotta go easy on challengers, right? If we beat Dylan just once, I think both Archer and I would feel a lot better. It could work. The more Proton spoke, the brighter his eyes became. He really thought he was onto something. Are you insane? I think you need to get your head checked. Sabrina finally snapped, coldly mocking him. Seriously? A gym challenge? You're a high-ranking rocket executive, not a legitimate trainer. Have you lost your mind? Huh? I'm not crazy. Proton's handsome face was full of innocence. If you're not crazy, then go patrol outside. Sabrina said flatly. Come on, Sabrina, just because I can't beat you doesn't mean you can order me around. We're equals, you know. Proton complained. Besides, only a handful of people know about this base. We got here through a secret passage, so there's no way we're... Boom! Proton hadn't finished speaking when the entire base suddenly shook violently. He almost lost his balance and fell, but a surge of blue light steadied him. It was Sabrina's psychic power. Sabrina's beautiful eyebrows furrowed slightly as she looked upward. What's going on? Proton's face was grim. He knew full well this wasn't an earthquake. Moreover, the tremors were growing stronger, and bits of debris were already falling from the ceiling of the underground base. Someone is attacking from outside. Sabrina's eyes flickered with blue light. Outside the factory. Brilliant dragon meteors streaked across the sky, falling towards the factory. It was Draco Meteor, a dragon-type move. And the ones using Draco Meteor were 2 Dragonair, with Lance standing tall on the back of an Aerodactyl behind them. Lance's blood-red hair was whipped up by the fierce winds, his stern face cold and merciless, his sharp eyes gazing down at the rising flames below. Boom! Boom, boom. The continuous bombardment of Draco meteors shook the Earth, and soon the factory, once intact, was reduced to ruins.
Is this okay? Not far away, Dylan, Lily, and an officer Jenny stood watching the scene unfold.
Lily bit her lip, her eyes reflecting the flames shooting into the sky, her voice soft and uncertain.
After a quick briefing, the Kanto champion had immediately launched an attack.
With the intensity of this Draco meteor assault, the underground base would likely collapse.
Could Team Rocket's people really survive?
Champion Lance has always been like this, Officer Jenny of Saffron City said with resignation. Although this was her first time witnessing Lance personally annihilate Team Rocket, his violent methods were something she'd heard of for a long time.
Officer Jenny, has the area been fully surrounded?
Rest assured, we've secured the entire industrial park, Officer Jenny replied seriously. Good, Dylan nodded, his face lighting up with a smile as he looked back toward the ruins. Well, look what we have here, another old friend. A beedrill burst out from the rubble, and seeing the imposing beedrill, Lance's lips twisted into a savage grin, showing his sharp white teeth, a chilling sight.
That's right.
That filthy rat was here. A pile of rubble was blown apart by a fierce jet of flames, and a houndoom leaped out, followed by Giovanni and the others, but there was no sign of Sabrina. Sabrina couldn't reveal herself just yet, so she remained hidden, waiting for the right moment to escape from another direction. She could have used teleport to leave, but with the interference devices Officer Jenny and her team had set up, it wasn't safe to use teleport haphazardly. Boss, it's Lance, the Dragon Master, Archer's expression changed as he looked up at Lance, speaking to Giovanni in a low voice.
Giovanni narrowed his eyes slightly. How had they been exposed? No, now wasn't the time to think about that. It seems we have some unexpected guests.
Mr. N, Mr. Kores, my apologies.
This certainly isn't a good time, sir.
We'll take our leave for now, Kores replied, pushing up his glasses and frowning. He had no intention of getting involved with the Kanto League. Of course. Archer and Proton will escort you, Giovanni said calmly.
No need, we can leave on our own, sir. We'll contact you again once we've safely withdrawn, Kores declined.
He wasn't foolish, going with Archer and Proton would only bring trouble when it was clear the Kanto League was here to wipe out Team Rocket.
I'll hold off Lance for you, Giovanni nodded.
He wasn't pleased with the situation either. They had been so close to securing a partnership with Team Plasma.
Yet here they were, thanks to Lance, a maddeningly persistent hound, Giovanni thought darkly as he raised his head slightly to gaze at Lance in the sky.
Much appreciated, sir, Kores replied bluntly before retreating with N.
You two should leave as well, Giovanni ordered.
Yes, boss, Archer and Proton turned and left without hesitation. Have you said all your last words? Lance stood with his arms crossed, looking down at Giovanni, his blood-red hair billowing, his black cape flapping violently in the wind. You won't escape this time, filthy rat. Lance's eyes were cold and filled with murderous intent.
Ha.
Giovanni chuckled softly, elegantly adjusting his collar with a calm and composed demeanor. Meanwhile, Archer's face was as dark as ever.
This meeting had been his arrangement, how had it been discovered? Something's wrong.
Proton suddenly stopped in his tracks, looking at the narrow alley ahead.
Why isn't there a single League officer around here? Hearing Proton's words, Archer's expression changed as well. He was right, this wasn't normal.
If Lance was here, there should be League officers as well.
Click-clack, click-clack.
Footsteps echoed from the alley ahead, and three figures slowly emerged, their forms entering Archer and Proton's sight. Their faces paled instantly.
Fate is such a marvelous thing, don't you agree? Dylan, with an impossibly warm smile, looked at Archer and Proton.
My dear Mr. Archer and Mr. Proton, every encounter in this world is a reunion after a long parting.
Don't you think? After all this time, I've missed you both so much. Ah, how touching.
Dylan had been wondering how he'd get a Dragapult, and now here they were, delivered right to his doorstep. Although it was a second chance, it wasn't his fault that Archer and Proton had escaped the last time.
Capturing them again and asking the Kanto League for a Dragapult wasn't too much, right? Not too much at all. Dylan's eyes grew increasingly gentle as he looked at Archer and Proton. He was truly moved. These two were like walking treasure chests. But unlike Dylan, Archer and Proton's faces were growing increasingly grim. Damn! Not this guy again. Chapter 122, Dragon of.
Archer and Proton were both about to crack.
Why? Why did they encounter this person again? Dylan, I think we can talk this out, Archer said, trying to remain calm.
If it weren't for the sweat dripping down his forehead, he might have pulled it off.
Oh my, Archer, you're not joking, right? Before Dylan could respond, Leah's sarcastic voice rang out.
Archer's eyes immediately darkened as he looked at the girl standing behind Dylan.
It was that clown of a girl again.
Archer's gaze is so terrifying, like he's about to eat someone. Leah pretended to shrink back in fear, though her face bloomed with a radiant smile like a spring flower.
Archer's face twitched, while Proton watched with amusement, clearly enjoying the scene.
Head Dylan, even if you capture us, it's useless. Our boss can get us out anytime he wants, Archer said coldly, ignoring the noisy girl and directing his words at Dylan again.
No way. Archer, you still expect your boss to save you? And you're proud of that? How useless are you?
Leah said, looking at Archer in disbelief.
But...
Archer's face turned even darker as he heard the stifled laughter coming from Proton.
How could he laugh at a time like this? Sure, it's embarrassing that he needed the boss to rescue him, but wasn't Proton in the same boat? Lily gave a strange look at the two senior rocket executives. So, this is what evil organizations officers are like?
Sorry, I just remembered something funny, Proton said awkwardly, turning his head away to avoid Archer's death glare. So, Dylan, if you let us go, I promise Team Rocket won't be your enemy, Archer said, swallowing his pride and trying to reason with Dylan.
They had no choice.
Fighting was definitely not an option, so negotiation was all they had.
Sorry, Archer.
I know you're sincere, Dylan said, his tone still polite. Two flashes of white light appeared, and Dragonite and Gudra materialized in front of Dylan. The sheer pressure from the two dragon-type pseudo-legendaries made both Archer and Proton's scalps tingle. This was even more ridiculous than the last time with Salazzle and Nidoking. But I am, after all, a gym leader of the league, Dylan added with a gentle smile.
Dylan! Leave a way out for future encounters. Archer's face turned pale as he looked at the imposing Dragonite and Gudra. Do you really need to be this harsh? No worries. I'll visit you two in prison if I have time. But for now. Dylan smiled, his eyes narrowing at the two. Let's go over your crimes, shall we? Damn it. Dylan. Do you really think you have us cornered?
Archer gritted his teeth. Surrender was not an option, at the very least, they had to put up a fight.
Let me show you the strength of the rocket executive.
Proton said, his expression serious. After all, as rocket officers, they couldn't just roll over and give up.
It was a matter of pride. Come on, Dylan. And then. Well done, Dylan.
As expected of you, Officer Jenny said, arriving just in time to cuff Archer and Proton.
She couldn't help but be impressed. I'll leave them to you, Officer Jenny. I have to check on something else, Dylan responded with a smile. Rest assured. We'll keep a close eye on these two top criminals.
Officer Jenny pounded her chest confidently.
Dylan nodded and, with Leah and Lily, headed off in another direction. Officer Jenny, these cuffs are a bit too tight. Could you loosen them a little? Proton raised his hand to show the cuffs, which were digging into his wrists. Tight? Handcuffs are supposed to be tight. Now behave. Officer Jenny said, hands on her hips, glaring at him. But the ones in Celadon City were perfectly fitted. Proton grumbled. Why are they so tight in Saffron City? We criminals have rights, too, he argued, trying to defend his case. Archer, his face drained of all color, looked up at the sky in despair, completely numb to the conversation. Meanwhile, in an alley, Kores and Anne were making their escape. Seriously, How could the security have been this lax? Even the champion showed up.
Kores adjusted his glasses, glancing back at the distant explosions that indicated the fierce battle raging behind them. Rocket's leader is truly remarkable, though, to be able to fight Lance to a standstill.
Kores was amazed. Even from Unova, he had heard of Lance, the current Kanto champion, considered the strongest champion in Kanto's history.
Anne remains silent. But this is troublesome. I need to contact Getsus and figure out our next move, Kores muttered to himself. The collaboration with Team Rocket hadn't even officially started, and already they were in this mess.
Unbelievable. Still, Kores couldn't deny his fascination with Rocket's genetic research.
Even with just a brief overview, he could see its potential value to his own studies.
Just then, the winds suddenly grew icy, and the temperature plummeted.
Kores looked up sharply, and what met his eyes was a blizzard, filling his entire view.
An ice-type blizzard. Zoroark, N's hollow eyes flickered with focus.
In a flash, the dark shadow of Zoroark leaped in front of N, its claws gathering black energy. With a piercing screech, a dark pulse shot out. The dark-type attack collided head-on with the blizzard, black and white energies clashing furiously, before finally exploding and sending shockwaves rippling in all directions. Such a powerful blizzard. Kores raised his arm to shield himself, squinting through his glasses.
Zoroark was one of N's strongest Pokémon, a champion-level fighter. But Zoroark's dark pulse couldn't overpower that blizzard. The only known Ice-type trainers in Kanto, could it be?
No, she's supposed to be an Elite Four member, not a champion.
A path of ice extended toward them, and a massive Lapras swam forward slowly.
Riding on its back was a striking woman with long red hair, dressed in black.
It really was her, the first of Kanto's Elite Four, Lorelei of the Ice-type.
This is troublesome, Kores muttered, his brows furrowing. It wasn't just Lance they had to worry about. Looks like I've caught you little mice, Lorelei said, stepping off Lapras and casting a cold smile as her gaze swept over Anne and Kores. She'd been in Saffron City, and when Lance contacted her, she happened to catch two big fish. Elite Four Lorelei, we're not with Team Rocket, Kores said, adjusting his glasses with a narrowed gaze.
Attacking us without warning like this is uncalled for, don't you think?
Ha! Lorelei let out two cold laughs, her icy gaze unchanged. Team Rocket is nothing but filthy rats, and you of Team Plasma are the same maggots in the sewer.
There's no difference.
Lorelei had specifically researched Unova's Team Plasma, and upon learning that their ideology was to liberate Pokémon from humans, she immediately saw through their sinister intentions. Their slogans were loud and clear, but in the end, they simply wanted others to give up their Pokémon so they could use them to fulfill their own ambitions and desires.
Just another trash organization that needed to be eradicated. Do you think perhaps Elite Four Lorelei has some sort of misunderstanding about us?
A bit exasperated, Kores felt he was being unjustly dragged into this.
He had joined Team Plasma mainly because Getsus supported his research, but now he was suddenly being labeled a maggot in the sewer?
Kores had always considered himself a genius, especially in scientific research. It was his pride. But this time, Lorelei didn't respond to him.
Instead, she released another Pokémon, Dugong.
Dugong, Lapras, Blizzard, Lorelei said calmly. Her gaze toward N and Kores was cold and indifferent, as if she were looking at two corpses. Dugong and Lapras opened their mouths simultaneously, ice-blue energy condensing before a fierce blizzard erupted from them.
An ice-type blizzard. In Kores' perspective, the immense blizzard seemed to cover the sky. If they were hit directly by this, how could they possibly survive? This crazy woman. How could she attack humans like this? Even if they were members of an evil organization, this was too much. Kores was stunned.
As a well-known dark scientist in the industry, he had long been on the blacklist of the Pokémon League, but the Unova Elite Four weren't this insane.
Protect.
N's lifeless eyes flickered slightly, his voice calm.
Zoroark stepped forward, positioning itself in front of the two.
A green Protect barrier appeared, capable of blocking all standard attacks.
Of course, if the difference in power was too great, Protect might not be able to fully defend, as demonstrated in the anime.
The howling blizzard devoured everything in the alley, and after a while, the storm gradually subsided. The scene had completely transformed, with the road and walls covered in thick snow, and even the air filled with scattered snowflakes. Crack! It sounded like glass shattering as the green protect barrier cracked and dissipated into light particles, revealing Zoroark, Kolres, and N. It seems you really are quite skilled, little rats. Lorelei's icy gaze didn't change much. Based on the intelligence she had gathered, the green-haired young man in front of her was the leader of Team Plasma. N, we can't afford to delay here. Her strength is abnormal. Kolres glanced at their surroundings. This Lorelei was definitely a champion-level trainer. And yet Lorelei was only the first of Kanto's Elite Four. No wonder the rumors said Kanto had the strongest Elite Four in the world. If Lorelei was at champion level, then the others above her, Bruno and Agatha, must be at champion level too. I understand, and nodded silently, comprehending Kolres' point. We'll leave now, and no one will get hurt. N took a step forward, signaling Zoroark to stand down, and spoke calmly to Lorelei. He was not someone who preferred violence. The reason he had awakened Zekrom was to draw upon Unova's founding legend, but the road to ideals was never easy. Oh. Upon hearing this, a cold smile once again appeared on Lorelei's icy face. You're nothing but the leader of an evil organization. Scum like you should all be turned into ice sculptures. Lorelei's voice grew colder. She despised evil organizations, loathed humans with darkness in their hearts, and hated all those who harmed Pokemon in nature. We are not an evil organization. N pursed his lips, slowly raising his right hand. As N made this motion, a massive black cloud suddenly drifted over the once clear sky, blue arcs of lightning crackling within it. A heavy pressure spread across the sky and earth, difficult to describe. Lorelei sensed something was wrong and looked up at the sky. This massive black cloud had appeared without any warning. Something was off. My ideal is for Pokemon to achieve everlasting freedom and happiness. N continued to gaze at Lorelei, unable to agree with her perception of him. His ideals had always been for the sake of Pokemon. Roar! A deafening dragon roar echoed through the sky, and a blue bolt of lightning descended. A massive black dragon god soared down from the heavens, landing heavily behind the green-haired youth, exuding an awe-inspiring dragon-type aura. Lorelei's eyes widened in shock as she stared at the pitch-black dragon. This overwhelming presence, it was a legendary Pokemon. I am N. Harmonia. N slowly lowered his arm, his usually lifeless eyes now shining with dazzling brilliance. This is my best friend and partner, the one who shares my ideals and supports me in achieving them. Zekrom. The dragon of ideals from Unova's founding legend. Lorelei's expression became incredibly dark at this moment. A guy willing to cooperate with trash like Team Rocket had been recognized by the Dragon of Ideals? How could that be? Chapter 123, U. At this moment, Lorelei's expression was truly grim, and understandably so. Facing the legendary Dragon of Ideals, Zekrom, would unsettle anyone. Well, anyone except for a certain old monster. Zekrom was not just an ordinary legendary Pokemon like Regirock. It was a legendary Pokemon comparable to the likes of Ho-Oh and Lugia from Kanto. Oh my goodness! Is that the Pokemon of the King of Team Plasma? In the distance, Dylan and the two others were watching from afar, with both Leah and Lily visibly shocked. That's right, this is Zekrom, one of the legendary dragon Pokemon of the Unova region, Dylan said, his eyes glinting slightly. The Tau Trio is the common term for Unova's Zekrom, Reshiram, and Kyurem. They all belong to the group known as the legendary dragon Pokemon. Zekrom is one of the dragon gods from Unova's founding legend. It's said to have emerged from the split of the original Unova dragon and chooses individuals who harbor ideals, assisting them in realizing their dreams. In terms of power and status, it's on par with Ho-Oh and Lugia from Kanto, as well as Lunala and Solgaleo from Alola. Dylan provided a brief introduction. Amazing. Lily bit her lip, clutching her bag instinctively. So, does that mean Nebby would also evolve into a being as grand and powerful as this?
She could hardly imagine it. Nebby, so innocent, playful, and a bit mischievous, would one day evolve into such a majestic and powerful legendary Pokemon.
It wasn't an exaggeration on Lily's part, just looking at Zekrom made it difficult for her to breathe.
It was due to an inexplicable sense of anxiety. Why did Zekrom choose the leader of Team Plasma as its hero? Leah frowned. She couldn't understand. A legendary Pokemon like this actually chose the leader of an evil organization, wasn't it just asking for trouble? Zekrom, Dragon/Electric type, the deep black Pokemon.
Ability, Terravolt signature moves, Bolt Strike, Outrage, Thunder, Fusion Bolt, Hyper Voice, Dragon Claw, Roar, Zen Headbutt, Slash. A legendary Pokemon said to scorch the world with its lightning. It assists those who seek to create an ideal world. According to myth, if humans lose their sense of justice, it will destroy their kingdom with its fierce lightning. This was information from Dylan's Rotom Pokédex. He had included extensive data on legendary Pokemon, otherwise, he wouldn't have had access to Zekrom's details.
What an exaggerated description! Lily and Leah were stunned as they listened to the Rotom Pokédex's introduction of Zekrom. It was just so incredible and dramatic. Can Lorelei possibly defeat Zekrom? Lily asked worriedly. No way. Lorelei's strength hasn't reached that level yet. Dylan shook his head, directly denying it. Although Lorelei was also champion level, her strength was still far behind trainers like Lance, Giovanni, and Leon.
Even though her specialty was the Ice type, which was effective against Zekrom, the difference in power was too great.
Even if it were a quadruple weakness, Lorelei would still stand no chance. Reality isn't a turn-based game where a move hits automatically if the accuracy is sufficient.
In real life, Pokemon aren't stationary targets, and it's not a turn-based system. Even if Lorelei's Pokemon launched Ice-type moves, Zekrom could counter with its own attacks due to the power gap. It simply wouldn't be a fair fight.
Ice Beam.
Lorelei steadied her emotions and ordered Lapras and Dugong without hesitation. The pressure exerted by Zekrom was immense, underscoring its strength, but Lorelei wouldn't back down, even when faced with the Dragon God.
An evil organization was something she could never tolerate. Lapras and Dugong opened their mouths simultaneously, with icy light gathering within. In the next moment, two winding beams of ice shot rapidly toward Zekrom.
Thunder, N's eyes had already calmed. The turbine on Zekrom's tail began to glow, and the next moment, a massive golden lightning bolt shot forth.
An electric-type thunder attack.
The thunder collided with the two ice beams in midair, but the stalemate lasted only a second before the golden lightning overpowered the ice beams and continued toward Lorelei. Lorelei's pupils contracted, and she quickly tried to release Cloyster from her Pokeball to use Protect, but the thunder was too fast.
Boom!
The thunder struck the ground in front of Lapras and Dugong, sending out a deafening roar, with golden sparks scattering everywhere. The burst of energy from thunder still managed to impact Lapras and Dugong, making the two Pokemon cry out in pain, as electric beats water.
However, Lapras protected Lorelei by positioning itself between her and the stray electricity.
As the storm subsided, Lapras and Dugong were visibly injured, with multiple wounds. Lorelei's expression turned grim. Although she had expected the legendary Zekrom to be incredibly powerful, she hadn't imagined it would be this overwhelming. With just one move, the disparity in strength had already become apparent. I have no intention of harming you, nor do I wish to hurt your Pokemon, and spoke calmly, his voice tranquil. Zekrom held back just now, I hope you understand that. Had Zekrom's thunder been aimed directly at Lorelei, the situation would not be what it was now. Lorelei's fingers trembled slightly, but not from fear, it was from anger. The fact that the leader of an evil organization showed mercy towards her in battle, wasn't that an insult? Don't joke around. Lorelei's eyes were cold as ice. Zekrom, thunder. N made no further attempts to persuade. Zekrom's body flashed with lightning once again, and a massive thunderbolt descended from the sky, aimed directly at Lapras and Dugong. The lightning illuminated the darkened sky, clouded by black clouds. Protect! Lorelei immediately retreated, commanding Dugong and Lapras to use Protect.
However, at that moment, a magnificent Articuno flew swiftly over and stopped above Lapras and Dugong, with a green protect barrier appearing. Boom! The thunder struck the protect barrier hard, golden sparks crackling and spreading. Ripples spread across the surface of the protect barrier. With a loud crash, the protect barrier shattered, and Articuno was pushed back by the strong impact. But it managed to just barely withstand the thunder. Lorelei frowned. Was this Articuno? She looked behind her, and a man and woman entered her view. It's you! Anne also saw the approaching pair, and a flicker of emotion appeared in his eyes. Anne, I really didn't expect to see you again so soon. Dylan looked at Anne with a hint of regret. Indeed, I didn't want to meet you again in this way, Anne replied, his expression somewhat complicated. Colress glanced at Dylan, then at Anne, showing great interest in their relationship. You're Dylan? Lorelei looked at Dylan, who had walked over, adjusting her glasses. Yes, it seems that Senior Lance has mentioned me to you, Senior Lorelei. Dylan smiled at Lorelei. I have to say, up close, Lorelei looked very beautiful, and her figure was excellent. However, the aloof aura she exuded was quite strong. Lily, standing beside Dylan, was also sneaking glances at Lorelei and then lowered her head to look at her own feet, feeling a bit inadequate. Not just Lance, the chairman has mentioned you several times as well, Lorelei said indifferently. Is that Articuno yours? Lorelei glanced at the Articuno in the sky. Yes. No wonder both the chairman and Lance have such high expectations of you, Lorelei praised, sensing the Articuno's strong power. But this guy Zekrom is too strong. Even if we worked together, I'm afraid we wouldn't stand a chance. Lorelei's gaze shifted to Anne and Colress, and her expression instantly turned cold, as if the temperature had dropped. What about Lance? Senior Lance is battling against the Team Rocket leader and can't come over right now. I have a secret technique, but I'm not sure if it would be effective against them and Zekrom. Lorelei's aura grew colder, her unwillingness evident. Lily shrank back behind Dylan, wrapping her arms around herself, feeling goosebumps all over. Lorelei is right, Dylan, even if you have Articuno, it won't help, Anne spoke calmly. I have no intention of fighting you. As long as you step aside, I won't harm you. Anne repeated his stance. He didn't like fighting. Although he wanted to fulfill his ideals, his original intention was to achieve them peacefully as much as possible. Upon hearing this, Lorelei pressed her lips tightly together, her brows furrowing as she coldly stared at Anne. Truly arrogant, Anne. Do you really think Zekrom is invincible? Dylan raised an eyebrow. No, Anne shook his head. But you can't stop Zekrom. Or do you mean, Dylan? Anne wasn't arrogant, the world was vast, and Zekrom wasn't the strongest Pokemon. However, if it were just Articuno, it was definitely no match for Zekrom. Or? Anne's gaze flickered as he looked at Dylan. Did Dylan have other trump cards? Zekrom had mentioned that Dylan bore a weight that even it cared about. But as an elite trainer, even if I can't win, I won't let you leave easily, Anne. I see. Anne fell silent, there was nothing more to say. Zekrom, use thunder. Zekrom let out a deep roar, and golden lightning shot through the air. Lorelei's expression became serious, just as she was about to instruct her Dugong and Lapras to use their ultimate moves against Zekrom when she noticed Dylan rummaging through his backpack. Lorelei was stunned because Dylan actually pulled out a chubby Clefairy from his backpack? Okay. Dylan held his breath and then forcefully threw the fat Clefairy toward the lightning shot by Zekrom. The black dragon was completely unfazed. It's decided, you're the one. Clefairy. Lorelei? Lily. Zekrom? Boom. Me. The lightning directly hit Clefairy, causing an explosion and a terrified screech. Thud. A charred, black object fell from the sky, landing on the ground and kicking up a bit of dust. The scene fell silent. Anne and Colress looked at Dylan with strange expressions, and Lorelei felt a mix of admiration and confusion. Zekrom. From the pile of blackened debris, a plump, pink paw shakily emerged, pushing against the ground, as Clefairy struggled to stand and look toward Zekrom.
Its chubby body heaved up and down as it gasped for breath, and its originally clear eyes gradually filled with a deep and terrifying psychic power. "Lorelei, we should retreat quickly, the little guy seems to be angry." Dylan pulled Lily behind him and shouted to Lorelei, quickly backing away. They needed to run further back to avoid being caught in the fallout. Lorelei looked puzzled. "Me? How dare you zap me, Black Dragon? You!" With an angry screech, terrifying pink psychic energy surged into the sky. Yeah, it's about to go wild. Chapter 124, Your waistline is about to match Nidoking's. A vast and surging psychic force materialized and shot into the sky, piercing through the dark clouds, leaving a giant gaping hole, with fierce winds bursting forth. The shocking pink light pillar dyed Lily's pupils pink, horrifying and terrifying. Without a doubt, Dylan and the others ran even faster. Articuno flew in the sky, while Lapras and Dugong swam behind the three of them. "Dylan, what is that thing?" Following behind Dylan and Lily, Lorelei was stunned. Could a Clefairy actually do something like this? Lorelei wouldn't believe it even if her life depended on it. And besides, that sound didn't even come from a Clefairy. A little freeloader who eats for free every day. It's finally time for it to pay some rent today. Having reached a safe distance, Dylan let out a sigh of relief and replied to Lorelei. Lorelei was even more confused. "So, brother, what exactly is Clefairy?" Lily asked curiously. From the time of the Regirock incident, Lily was certain that this was no ordinary Clefairy. Whose Clefairy was this powerful? But Lily had no clue what Clefairy really was. What made it even stranger was that even the Pokédex identified it as a normal Clefairy. The little guy doesn't want to reveal its true form. "Maybe you could try offering it some tuna cans, and maybe it'll respond to you," Dylan said with a smile. Since Clefairy didn't want to show its true identity, he didn't elaborate further. Lorelei thoughtfully watched as the once bright pink psychic energy gradually faded. A powerful psychic Pokémon in Kanto that could disguise itself as a Clefairy, there was probably only one Pokémon that fit that description. Meanwhile, on N's side. "What is this thing?" Colress was shocked as he stared at the Clefairy floating in midair. It was releasing such an overwhelming and terrifying psychic energy, something no ordinary Pokémon could ever do. "Zekrom?" N furrowed his brows. "It's Mew." Zekrom's deep telepathic voice resonated in N's mind. "Mew? The mythical Pokémon from Kanto?" N immediately recalled the legend. "It's angry." Zekrom's dragon eyes showed a hint of helplessness. In fact, when Dylan first threw out Clefairy, it had sensed something was off, but by the time it confirmed it, lightning had already struck Clefairy. And now, without a doubt, the normally sweetly sleeping Clefairy had been given a good electric shock, waking up with some serious wake-up anger. "Me." Clefairy's normally pleasant, crisp cry sounded sharp and heavy under the intense psychic pressure. The materialized psychic energy burst out, transforming into a shockwave that rushed toward Zekrom. It was a psychic-type psychic. "Zekrom, Thunderbolt," N commanded, eyes sharp. Zekrom's massive, heavy black dragon body took to the sky, with the turbines on its back spinning wildly, generating blue electrical currents. The electric-type Thunderbolt. A massive bolt of lightning surged forth, clashing fiercely against the incoming psychic shockwave. Thunderbolt and Psychic collided violently, but soon the psychic energy began to suppress the Thunderbolt. "Zekrom!" And noticed this immediately and called out to his dragon. "Roar!" Zekrom, the dragon of ideals, let out a deafening roar as the electric power surged dramatically. Boom! Thunderbolt and Psychic exploded, sending shockwaves of intense energy rippling out, pushing both Zekrom and Clefairy back slightly. The black clouds in the sky had been completely dispersed by the aftermath of their attacks, and the ground below also began to crack from the wind pressure, though the battle itself remained in the sky. A green protect barrier faded away, revealing Zoroark and the figures of N and Colress behind it. So strong. N frowned deeply. Was Mew really this powerful? N, we can't stay here any longer. It's too dangerous. Kores said, releasing Metagross from its pokeball. No wonder those guys ran off at the beginning, they were probably worried about getting caught in the aftermath of this legendary battle. Zekrom, tell Mew that we didn't mean to attack it.
This fight can be avoided. N climbed onto Kores's Metagross and sent a telepathic message to Zekrom. As expected, Mew isn't afraid of a legend like Zekrom. From a distance, Dylan was watching the battle between the two legendary Pokémon with great interest. Though they had only exchanged one move, the visual effects were truly spectacular. It also proved how strong this Mew really was. At least, it was definitely not weaker than a legend like Zekrom. That made sense, considering this Mew could even transform into Ho-Oh in the movies. So strong. Lily gasped in awe. Even though it was just Psychic versus Thunderbolt, when these two Pokémon used those moves, it was a completely different level. Meanwhile, in the sky, Clefairy was still enveloped in pink psychic energy, with deep blue light glowing in its eyes, its aura intensifying, still clearly in its wake-up anger mode. How many years had it been? It couldn't even remember the last time it had been struck by lightning. Mew, I didn't mean to, Zekrom tried to reconcile, its deep telepathy reaching out to Clefairy. Then that means you did it on purpose, me. But obviously, Clefairy wasn't going to be easily appeased. Zekrom's dragon eyes widened slightly. What? I said I didn't do it on purpose, and you're saying I did? How is that logical? When did you become like this? Zekrom sensed something was off. It remembered that Mew wasn't this unreasonable before. No response? All right. So it was on purpose, me. Clefairy got even angrier, convinced now that Zekrom had done it intentionally. No, wait. Mew. Zekrom noticed the intense white light enveloping Clefairy's body and realized something was very wrong. A vast dragon aura mixed with an icy chill began to spread, and the light grew brighter and brighter. As the transformation light faded, an imposing gray-blue dragon-like Pokémon appeared. Zekrom's dragon eyes narrowed. It knew this dragon all too well. Its head was adorned with icy crystals, its terrifying golden eyes gleamed, its broken ice wings extended, and its massive gray dragon body loomed ominously. This was Kyurem, the ice dragon left behind after the Unova dragon split into two, and undoubtedly the strongest of the three legendary dragons of Unova. Eh? What Pokémon is that? Lily asked, puzzled. It's Kyurem, the legendary ice dragon from Unova. I wonder if it can transform into its other forms. Dylan raised an eyebrow, amused. Transforming into Kyurem to fight Zekrom, Mew was really showing its playful side today. The terrifyingly heavy pressure from Kyurem filled the air, making the atmosphere feel thick and oppressive, much more so than Zekrom's presence. Overwhelming pressure. Me. Kyurem raised its head and roared, a surge of cold air rippling out in a shockwave, accompanied by a tangible sound wave. But that roar. Zekrom, who had been intensely focused, almost lost its composure. Did Kyurem just say me? For some reason, despite Kyurem's fierce and terrifying appearance, hearing it say me gave Zekrom a weird sense of cuteness. No, that's all wrong. Zekrom had no affection for Kyurem at all. In fact, its feelings toward Kyurem were rather complicated. As the empty shell left behind after the Unova dragon split, Kyurem not only inherited the dragon's most powerful abilities but also had the potential to absorb both Zekrom and Reshiram to forcibly fuse with them. Because of this, both black and white dragons usually kept their distance from Kyurem. Fortunately, Kyurem was rather reclusive and rarely ventured out, so it hadn't actively pursued Zekrom or Reshiram. No, now wasn't the time to be thinking about this. Me. A dreamy ice blue energy condensed on Kyurem's body, and the freezing breath spread wildly. N. We have to retreat now. Zekrom's dragon eyes were locked on Kyurem opposite, communicating with N through telepathy. It didn't want to fight to the bitter end with Clefairy. Especially since Clefairy had transformed into Kyurem and was now even using Kyurem's moves. Without hesitation, Zekrom turned and flew away from Kyurem at high speed, lowering its altitude mid-flight to pick up Metagross, where N and Kores were standing. Me. With another sharp screech from Kiram, its tangible freezing breath turned into a shockwave, rapidly spreading towards Zekrom in an arc. Where the glaciate technique passed, a trail of ice quickly froze into place, the moisture in the air solidifying. Kiram's signature move, the ice-type glaciate. The freezing wave shot towards Zekrom like lightning. Realizing the attack, Zekrom immediately accelerated, but the brief delay from picking up N and Kolres made it too late to dodge. Crack! Crack! The glaciate hit Zekrom's back. It groaned, pain flickering in its dragon eyes as ice crystals and frost rapidly formed over its back, turning into a thick block of ice in an instant. Zekrom! N shouted, noticing something was wrong and calling out in concern. I'm fine, N, don't worry. Zekrom gritted its teeth, enduring the pain in its back. It could still withstand a single glaciate. Consider it payback for that thunderbolt it hit Clefairy with earlier. Otherwise, it feared Clefairy would never give up and chase after them again. Zekrom accelerated once more and soon vanished into the sky. Watching Zekrom flee, Kiram's body shone with light again, shrinking back into Clefairy, who pouted before turning into a pink beam of light, shooting down towards the ground. Then... Cleffa! Cleffa! Clefairy launched itself into Dylan's arms with a headbutt, endlessly squeaking clef, as if complaining about Dylan's cruelty. Of course, Clefairy knew why Zekrom's thunderbolt had suddenly hit it. Who wouldn't get it? It had been peacefully sleeping and then got struck by lightning. How could they do this? If it weren't for its thick body, the thunderbolt would have really hurt. So cute. Lily's eyes sparkled. Lorelei, meanwhile, gave Clefairy, who was now acting all cutesy, a strange look. Her thoughts drifted back to the terrifyingly imposing Kiram from moments ago, leaving her deep in thought. If she hadn't witnessed it herself, she would never have believed that these two were the same creature. All right, I'm really sorry, Dylan apologized sincerely, looking at the little cutie with puffed-up cheeks. But our Clefairy really is amazing, managing to scare even the legendary Zekrom away. Dylan smiled and praised it. Clefairy proudly raised its head, placing its tiny paws on its hips. That's right, I'm awesome. That black dragon? Nothing special. Clefairy then looked up at its trainer with big, watery eyes, its voice soft and cute. No way. Have you seen your waistline? You're almost as big as a Nidoking. Didn't I just give you a ton of canned food? You finished it already? Dylan was stunned for a moment before quickly refusing. This greedy cat was trying to ask for more cans again. Me. Clefairy used its move, argument, claiming those cans were rightfully its. So what if it ate them quickly? Are you a pig? It's only been a few days. That was 30 whole crates. Dylan was astonished. Clefairy used stubborn persistence, reminding Dylan it had shielded him from the lightning. Dylan fell silent. Chapter 125, I truly love you both. Zekrom ran off with N and Kolres, which wasn't exactly good news. The battle between Lance and Giovanni was intense, but as they fought, both of them disappeared, and no one knew where they went. So, the king of Team Plasma in the Unova region awakened the black dragon Zekrom. On the video call, Charles Goodshow, the white-bearded president of the Kanto League, rubbed his temples in frustration. As the league's president, Goodshow enjoyed traveling to different regions during their league tournaments, checking out the development of new trainers. Because of that, he was quite familiar with the legends of various regions. The fact that the ideal dragon god from Unova's founding myth chose the leader of an evil organization was bad news for the Pokemon League. Zekrom's power is overwhelming. I'm no match for it. If Dylan hadn't shown up, I might have been in real danger. Lorelei reported calmly, stating the facts. Due to her past experiences, she had an intense hatred for evil. As N was the leader of an evil organization, she would never back down, even if it meant her death. She would never bow before evil. Lorelei, you're overthinking it. N would never try to kill you. Dylan shook his head.
While N had become fanatically focused on his ideals because of Getsis's manipulations, at heart, N was a kind soul who desired peace. He could never kill anyone, especially someone like Lorelei, who loved Pokemon as much as she did. Maybe, Lorelei said after a brief silence, her voice calm.
Dylan, do you know N? What are his ideals?
Charles.
Goodshow asked thoughtfully, sensing that Dylan had some insight into N.
And since N had been chosen by the ideal dragon god, it meant his ideals must have been extraordinarily strong to be selected by the Black Dragon.
I met him once.
He's seen many Pokemon hurt by humans, so now his ideal is to separate humans and Pokemon, believing that's the only way for Pokemon to be truly free and happy, Dylan explained, giving a brief summary. Humph, Lorelei let out a cold laugh, her tone dripping with sarcasm.
An antisocial ideal. He's too extreme, Goodshow sighed, rubbing his temples once more. The idea of separating humans from Pokemon? That was impossible. And even if it were possible, what would the world become?
It was nothing short of antisocial.
N's experiences growing up were very different from a normal person's. Dylan wasn't surprised by this. N's ideals stemmed from his unique circumstances.
Born with the ability to sense Pokemon's thoughts and emotions, N had been isolated by Getsis, who adopted him and kept him away from humans. Instead, N grew up surrounded by Pokemon who had been betrayed, mistreated, and hurt by malicious humans. Naturally, he developed such extreme views. A fabricated truth gave rise to a fanatically strong ideal, but this ideal was nurtured in an artificial world.
He's actually quite pitiful, Dylan remarked with a sigh.
N was a tragic figure from beginning to end. It wasn't until the protagonist in Black and White completely defeated him that N realized his true ideals and freed himself from Getsis's control. In Black and White too, N even came to stop Getsis, who was now controlling Kyurem. Despite having viewed Getsis as a father, Getsis coldly declared that N had always been nothing but a tool and a monster to him.
N's Black, or White, dragon was even forcibly fused with Kyurem.
It was a truly tragic story. No matter how pitiful he is, he's still a dangerous individual now, Lorelei said coldly. The ideal dragon god follows someone with sincere and powerful ideals.
If someone with stronger ideals than N appeared, would Zekrom choose a new hero?
Lorelei mused aloud.
Ha! Dylan was momentarily taken aback.
I think Lance is a better fit for Zekrom than that leader of an evil organization, Lorelei pushed her glasses up and stated plainly, noticing Dylan's confusion.
Dylan, you're also better than that guy.
Lorelei still couldn't accept that the leader of an evil organization had gained the favor of the ideal dragon.
Did he really deserve it? Lance was no worse than N.
In terms of strength, Lance was one of the top champion-level trainers. In terms of ideals, Lance also wanted to create a world where Pokemon could be truly happy, and he was just as unwavering.
And Lance wouldn't tolerate any evil. With Zekrom's power, Lorelei believed Lance could wipe out every evil organization.
Lance could scatter their ashes to the wind. Lily nodded in agreement beside her.
She really wanted to see her brother commanding the Dragon God. It would surely be incredibly cool. Lorelei, you give me too much credit.
My ideals aren't strong enough to be worthy of the ideal dragon, Dylan replied humbly.
It was the truth. He was just here for fun. What ideals did he have? Didn't every trainer want to be the strongest in the world? Maybe his dream of capturing Arceus counted as an ideal? Though that dream might be a bit grand, considering Arceus was the creator deity. But even if capturing Arceus was a valid ideal, Zekrom probably wouldn't take it seriously. After all, could Zekrom even stand up to Arceus's 3 children? Zekrom couldn't even defeat those 3 dragons, let alone Arceus.
Honestly, I think I'm more suited to Reshiram than ideals.
Dylan joked with a smile.
He didn't think Zekrom would recognize him, but he felt he might have a shot with Reshiram.
The truth of the world?
He had already seen through it long ago.
Are you interested in Reshiram, Dylan?
Charles Goodshow's eyes gleamed slightly at Dylan's words.
Yes, President, I'd like to visit the Unova region to see if I can awaken the White Dragon, Dylan admitted without hiding his thoughts. Go ahead. You can bring back the dragon, but you need to come back as well, Charles Goodshow smiled warmly, speaking with a hint of humor. He was very fond of Dylan and believed he was a good candidate to succeed Lance someday. But Goodshow didn't want Dylan going to Unova and never returning to Kanto. He'd cry his heart out if that happened. You're overthinking it, President. I have no intention of moving to another region, Dylan chuckled. Ha ha ha. Dylan, when you go to Unova, I won't be able to give you any special treatment. The Unova League won't be too happy about their dragon god being taken by someone from another region. Charles Goodshow pondered for a moment before speaking to Dylan. While the Pokemon League was united, if the league were compared to a giant company, then the regions were like its individual departments. Unova definitely wanted to deal with N and the Black Dragon, but unless things got desperate, they wouldn't want their legendary dragon god taken away by a trainer from another region. After all, they had plenty of strong trainers in Unova who knew maybe one of them could awaken Reshiram. Why bring in someone from outside? I understand, Dylan nodded. He hadn't expected Goodshow to offer him any special help. Awakening Reshiram would depend on his own abilities, outside help wouldn't make much of a difference. Dylan, you've done an excellent job this time, and you've even arrested 2 senior Rocket executives. What kind of reward would you like? Charles Goodshow stroked his beard with satisfaction. He was growing more and more fond of Dylan. However, as he spoke, there was a slightly awkward look on his face. He had received the battle report too. Once again, the 2 executives arrested were Archer and Proton. It almost felt like Dylan was exploiting a glitch. He had already rewarded Dylan for capturing Archer and Proton last time, and now here they were again. I would like a Dreepy. Dylan replied without hesitation. I had a feeling you would say that, Charles chuckled helplessly. He had been keeping an eye on Dylan, whose gym and Rhoda had introduced the Ghost type as its 4th specialization. Naturally, the Ghost/Dragon type Dragapult would be at the top of Dylan's wish list. Is it difficulty? If Dreepy is unavailable, any other pseudo-legendary baby Pokemon will do. I'll discuss it with Chairman Rosen-Gaylor, don't worry. I can definitely get you a Dreepy, Charles said with a warm smile, exuding quiet but unmistakable confidence. After all, he was the president of the Kanto League and the president of the World Pokemon Association. His resources and connections were, without exaggeration, unmatched globally. Thank you. A smile spread across Dylan's face. Archer and Proton really were the best. Such helpful people. He had to remember to bring a fruit basket when he visited them next time. This is well deserved, Dylan. I look forward to seeing you bring back that dragon from Unova. I suspect Chairman France from Unova will be coming to pour his heart out to me soon enough. Charles winked at Dylan, an unexpectedly humorous gesture from an old man. He'll have to come begging us, Charles thought gleefully. The thought of Dylan bringing Reshiram, the white dragon, back to Kanto and France's crestfallen face made Charles certain he would be overjoyed when the time came. Besides, with the white dragon gone, it would be much harder for Unova to deal with the black dragon's hero, N. Of course, they'd have no choice but to turn to Kanto for help. That thought was too satisfying. I'll do my best, Dylan said modestly. After all, he couldn't guarantee success. If the white dragon wasn't willing, it couldn't be forced. Wait, maybe it could. As Dylan pondered, he realized that once Necrozma was involved, even forcing the white dragon's capture wasn't out of the question. Reshiram surely couldn't defeat Necrozma, and once its true form was revealed, a physical capture wouldn't be impossible. As long as he could catch Reshiram, Dylan wasn't picky about the method. After all, Reshiram was just too beautiful. The idea of flying around Rhoda on such a majestic 2-tailed dragon every day was simply too cool. Of all the legendary cover dragons, Dylan found the white dragon the most aesthetically pleasing. After ending his call with Charles Goodshow, Dylan turned to Lorelei. Lorelei, has Lance returned yet? No news. He's probably still chasing the rocket boss. Lorelei shook her head. She had just sent another message to Lance,
but there had been no reply.
Clearly, Lance was in the midst of a cat-and-mouse game with Giovanni. "Don't worry, Lance will definitely defeat that big rat," Lorelei said calmly, full of confidence in Lance. But Dylan wasn't so sure. He knew that while Lance was strong, Giovanni was no slouch either. Dylan doubted Lance could actually take him down.
At that moment, Officer Jenny's communicator rang in the distance.
"What did you say?"
Officer Jenny's expression changed, and she looked deeply troubled.
"Gym Leader Dylan, Elite 4 Lorelei." Officer Jenny hesitated after hanging up the phone but eventually approached the two of them. "I'm terribly sorry.
Archer and Proton, who were under watch, have been rescued by a mysterious rocket member."
Officer Jenny spoke with shame. It was a failure on the part of the police force. "What did you say?" Lorelei's face instantly turned cold. "Can you explain what happened?" Dylan raised an eyebrow.
Since Lance hadn't sent any updates, it meant he was still occupied with Giovanni, so Giovanni couldn't have been the one to rescue Archer and Proton. Apparently, all the personnel guarding the two criminals mysteriously fell asleep. By the time they woke up, Archer and Proton were gone, Officer Jenny reported, clearly uncomfortable.
Lorelei's expression grew even frostier. "Hypnosis, huh?" Dylan mused. Since this happened in Saffron City, it was likely Sabrina was involved.
Archer and Proton were really being prioritized by Team Rocket, captured twice, rescued twice.
Looks like there are still opportunities to farm them for rewards. Not bad, not bad. Next time, should I aim for a Hydreigon or a Garchomp? Or maybe a Kamo-o? Dylan thought to himself.
It wasn't that he wanted to keep targeting the same people, but these particular sheep just kept delivering themselves to his door. It was frustrating for him too.
Every encounter in life is a reunion after a long separation.
Archer, Proton, I really hope we meet again.
I truly love you both. Chapter 126, Just Two? In Saffron Gym.
This is one of the official gyms in the Kanto region. With a flash of light, an Alakazam, along with Sabrina, Archer, and Proton, appeared here.
Few thanks, Sabrina.
Otherwise, we'd have been locked up again.
Ha!
Archer, what's up? Proton twisted his wrist and sighed in relief, glancing at the marks left by the handcuffs with a grimace. He had always thought those cuffs were a bit too tight.
But midway through his sentence, he noticed something was off. Archer was surrounded by a gloomy aura. Ha ha!
I'm such a failure. Archer muttered absent-mindedly, staring blankly at the floor, his voice tinged with despair. He was one of Team Rocket's 4 executives, yet he had been captured twice and had to be rescued by the boss and his colleagues.
If that didn't make him a failure, what did? How could he help the boss achieve his grand plans when he was like this? Oh no, Archer was spiraling into self-doubt. Proton's mouth twitched.
Sabrina tilted her head, looking curiously at the depressed Archer.
What was wrong with this guy? Archer! Snap out of it.
You're one of the boss's top executives, and you're letting a couple of setbacks get to you? Proton grabbed Archer's shoulders and shook him vigorously, trying to talk some sense into him.
What's a couple of losses?
Pull yourself together.
Team Rocket's mission is far from complete. How can you give up now? Relax. It's not like Dylan is going to catch us a third time, right? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. From now on, we won't give him any more chances.
Under Proton's passionate persuasion, Archer's pale face regained a bit of color, and the light slowly returned to his eyes.
That's right, Archer couldn't give up here. The boss still needed him. Proton.
Archer looked at his comrade with a mix of gratitude and guilt.
How could he ever have thought that Proton was bad luck?
Hard times reveal true friends. When he thought about it, he and Proton had gone through 2 imprisonments together.
Well, the second time they didn't actually make it to jail, just got handcuffed. But close enough. Proton was his true brother. Archer. Proton.
The two stared deeply into each other's eyes, their brotherhood unshakable.
Are you two done? If you are, get out of my gym. I don't want you exposing me.
Sabrina, her scalp tingling with annoyance, snapped them back to reality with a tone full of disdain. She hated people like this, especially the kind that got all sentimental like they were in a romance.
Ugh, gross.jpg.
The events in Saffron City had finally come to an end, and as expected, Giovanni had fled once again. On the other end of the phone, Lance's voice was practically dripping with frustration.
It was clear that Giovanni had likely taunted him again during their battle.
Letting the leader of Team Rocket escape from his grasp twice in a row was a blow to Lance's pride that was hard to swallow. In the coming days, Lance would probably redouble his efforts, ruthlessly hunting down every Team Rocket base he could find. But none of that concerned Dylan too much. He was quite satisfied with how his trip to Saffron City had gone. Not only did he meet N, but he also managed to secure a Dreepy. According to Chairman, it should arrive by tomorrow.
And he finally got to see Clefairy in action.
Keeping that Clefairy around had been worth it, it came through when it mattered.
See you, Dylan and Lily.
Outside Saffron City, Dylan and Lily were saying goodbye to Leah. Cheerful as ever, Leah still radiated her usual vibrant energy. Even though she had avoided the front lines due to her bird phobia, she had still witnessed the clash between Zekrom and Clefairy from a different vantage point.
And being someone who enjoyed a good spectacle, Leah felt satisfied with the outcome.
Plus, she had played a role in sabotaging the cooperation between Team Rocket and Team Plasma.
Goodbye, Leah.
Lily waved her little hand.
Are you sure you don't want to come back to Rhoda with us? We've got a gym judge position waiting for you, Dylan joked, smiling at Leah. Ah, is Dylan reluctant to part with little old Leah?
Leah clasped her hands behind her back and playfully winked her big, bright eyes, her clear voice delightful.
Nope, not now, but maybe in the future.
Before Dylan could respond, Leah straightened up, brushed her hair back from the wind, and smiled softly, an unusual expression for her. If the time comes, I'll definitely come to work for our big boss from Sylph.
Yes, but for now, she couldn't.
Traveling sounded carefree, but at the end of the day, it wasn't like having a stable place to rest. It was a tiring life, especially for someone who was essentially a wanderer without a home. Those few days at Rhoda Gym had made her happy. Dylan had treated her with sincerity, and there were Lily, Celine, and the other adorable girls.
But now wasn't the right time.
Leah pursed her lips. That organization was still looking for her. If she stayed at Rhoda Gym, she would only bring trouble to Dylan and the others.
You're always welcome. I'll even offer you a high salary. Dylan smiled at Leah's fair, innocent face. Hee, thanks in advance, Dylan.
Leah's smile was radiant as she waved her hand and strode away with light, lively steps, slowly disappearing into the distance.
Thank you.
Her voice floated back on the breeze, growing fainter with each step.
Every life that crosses another creates something new. Dylan watched Leah's figure as she walked away, remembering that line.
It was something Cynthia had said after Ash's and Paul's battle at the Lily of the Valley conference in the Diamond and Pearl anime. Ash and Paul had formed a bond in the end.
But what about him and Leah? Dylan found himself pondering.
His time with Leah hadn't been long, but she had left a deep impression on him.
Let's go, Lily. Hop in, it's time to head back. Dylan shook his head and smiled at Lily.
Okay, Lily beamed, excitedly opening the car door and hopping into the front passenger seat, fastening her seatbelt. She had finally secured the coveted front seat beside her brother.
Lily, how do you feel about living here for this time? Dylan asked as he started the car. I feel great. Brother's been so kind to me, and Celine and the others too. It's completely different from when I was in Alola.
Lily blinked her big, clear eyes as she looked at Dylan's profile.
Watching you battle challengers is so relaxing. It feels like you don't have a care in the world, and today I got to see so many things I never imagined.
Lily tapped her chin thoughtfully as she recalled everything she had experienced.
She loved watching Dylan's battles, she hadn't missed a single one.
Especially these past 2 days spent out in the field with Dylan. She felt fulfilled.
Today's events, in particular, she would never forget.
She had met the Kanto champion, Lance, and the Elite Four member, Lorelei. She had also encountered Team Rocket executives, the leader of the Unova region's Team Plasma, and even Zekrom, the legendary dragon of ideals. These were things that even she, as the former heiress of the Ether Foundation, never dreamed of. Brother, you have no idea, when Zekrom appeared, my heart was racing. Lily placed a hand over her heart, feeling its steady beat now, though back then, it had been pounding at an incredible rate when Zekrom descended from the sky. The legendary dragon of ideals appearing as an enemy, her emotions had been a mix of fear, awe, excitement, and curiosity. Did you dislike that feeling? Dylan asked with a smile. It was perfectly normal for anyone to feel their heart race when faced with the overwhelming presence of a legendary Pokémon like Zekrom. I didn't hate it, and I wasn't scared afterward. Because she knew her brother would protect her. Lily thought for a moment and smiled slightly, but she didn't say the latter part of her sentence, still a bit reserved. Don't worry, I won't let anyone harm you. It's my duty as a big brother, Dylan said warmly, smiling. Lily's beautiful eyes sparkled with happiness, and she felt truly content. She suddenly felt grateful for her own courage. If she hadn't been brave enough to try and sneak Nebby out of Ether Paradise back then, she might not have met such wonderful godparents and Dylan as her big brother. Fate works in mysterious ways. She mourned her mother's change and the loss of her family's happiness, but she had also found new family and joy. However, if only her mother could go back to the way she was before. Lily suddenly thought of her birth mother, Luzaman, who had become so twisted and obsessed. Maybe her big brother could change her mother's mind? The idea came to Lily suddenly. Dylan was so strong, maybe he could stop her mother? Ordinary methods probably wouldn't be able to wake her mother up from her dangerous ideas, but Dylan was strong. He could use force to stop her mother if necessary. But was that really the right thing to do? Lily hesitated. Wouldn't it be unfair to trouble Dylan with this when it was really her own family matter? Hey! Big brother, someone mentioned you in the group. Just then, Dylan's phone lit up, and Lily noticed it from the corner of her eye. She reminded him. Can you check it for me? Dylan didn't mind letting Lily see. Lily picked up Dylan's phone, entered the password he had given her, and checked the messages. Her expression turned a bit peculiar. It's gym leader Erica who mentioned you. She said she wants to visit the Rota gym tomorrow, and Violet and Flint also said they'd like to come along. Are gym leaders really so free these days that they can just team up to visit another gym? What did Jenny say? Dylan showed some interest. Officer Jenny said that gym leader Erica and the others should come and learn well from you, Lily replied, struggling to keep a straight face. Then reply for me, saying that we'll be waiting for them tomorrow, Dylan said with a smile. Got it. Gym leader Erica said she'd like to have a sparring match with you and ask for your guidance, and she also wants a Rota badge as a souvenir. Lily laughed as she relayed the message. It was the first time she had heard of a gym leader wanting another gym's badge as a keepsake. Gym leader Erica is quite interesting. Yes, Miss Erica is a nice person, Dylan nodded with a smile. The two returned to Rota by dusk. Tomorrow was Monday, and the gym would reopen for business. As soon as they arrived, Lily headed straight to the receptionist in Celine's room, eager to share the past 2 days' events with her friends. After all, it had been quite the adventure, hadn't it? Meanwhile, Dylan went to the backyard, released all of his Pokémon, and then headed to the teleportation room. Ito had sent him 2 new Pokémon. Come out. 2 flashes of white light revealed the Pokémon before him. The one on the left had a humanoid body, mostly black with red and orange patterns, eyes like burning flames, and a helmet-like head. It was a Charcadet. Beep Charcadet, Fire type, the Fire Child Pokémon. Ability, Flame Body Moves, Will-O-Wisp, Fire Spin, Clear Smog, Astonish, Destiny Bond, Inherited. Description: its life force burns within charcoal, becoming a Pokémon. Even when facing a strong foe, it fights with fiery determination. Not bad at all. Dylan was pleased with the Charcadet. It had two possible evolutions, the fire and psychic type Armarouge, or the fire and ghost type Cerulege. And of course, Dylan intended to evolve it into Cerulege, it was just too cool. But he was actually more interested in the other Pokemon. Cling. A sound like coins clinking echoed as the next Pokemon appeared, with a rather unique appearance. It was an old, sturdy treasure chest slightly open, with a small blue figure hiding inside. This was Gimmighoul. Ito did a great job finding a Gimmighoul, Dylan remarked, surprised at the rare Pokemon before him. Gimmighoul's evolved form, Goldango, had a body of gold, making it as precious as any pseudo-legendary Pokemon, perhaps even rarer. Deep Gimmighoul, chest form, ghost type, the coin chest Pokemon. Ability, rattled moves, tackle, astonish. Description, it was born in a treasure chest about 1,500 years ago. If anyone tries to steal its treasure, it drains their life force. Chest form. Its move pool was limited, but Dylan wasn't surprised. Gimmighoul was like that unless it used TMs, otherwise, it could only naturally learn these two moves. Dylan first spent some time bonding with the two Pokemon. Thanks to his Viridian energy, they quickly warmed up to him. Hey little guy, can you show me how many coins you have? Dylan crouched down in front of Gimmighoul's chest, speaking gently. To evolve into Goldango, Gimmighoul needed a special method. Collecting 999 Gimmighoul coins in addition to its own one, totaling 1,000. That's likely where Goldango's golden body came from. The key now was figuring out how many coins this Gimmighoul already had. Each Gimmighoul's coin count could vary. Cling Gimmighoul hesitated for a moment before opening the chest. Dylan took a close look. 2 gleaming gold coins lay at the bottom. Just 2? Dylan's expression stiffened. Did this mean he still needed to gather 998 more coins for Gimmighoul to evolve into its golden form? This little guy sure was poor. Chapter 127, Ready for the Challenge. A dragon that matured early. Dylan, where did this trend come from? Searching for Gimmighoul coins was out of the question. Dylan didn't have the time to go hunting wild Gimmighoul in the wilderness to take their coins. Moreover, Gimmighoul were primarily found in the Paldea region, where they were considered rare Pokemon. So, there was only one solution: money. As the saying goes, if money can solve the problem, then it's not really a problem at all. Dylan went straight to the Paldea League's official website and posted an offer, offering a high price to buy Gimmighoul coins. That should do the trick. As long as the money was right, there would definitely be people willing to sell Gimmighoul coins. After all, trainers who went on adventures in the wild often stumbled upon Gimmighoul coins. Once Dreepy arrives, I'll have 4 Dragon-type Pokemon, Dylan thought as he took the 2 young Pokemon to the backyard and pondered his team for the future. According to the league president, Dreepy would arrive tomorrow. With Dreepy's addition, he would have 4 Dragon-type Pokemon, all of which were pseudo-legendary dragons. In terms of strength and prestige, that was already quite impressive. Typically, for Dragon-type Pokemon would be enough to handle challengers since not every challenger needed a full team battle. However, the key issue was that Dragon-type Pokemon were quite powerful, especially Goodra and Dragonite, which were already well trained. Meanwhile, Dreepy had hardly any combat ability yet. It was a typical late bloomer, weaker than even a Gummy in its current stage. A Duraludon would also be a good addition, Dylan contemplated. Though the evolved form of Duraludon, Arcaludon, wasn't classified as a pseudo-legendary, if Dreepy could be considered a late bloomer among dragons, then Arcaludon was a classic example of early maturity. Duraludon's base strength was already decent, serving as Raihan's ace in Sword and Shield. In Scarlet and Violet, it gained an evolution into Arcaludon, solidifying its standing. With a Dragon/Steel typing, base stats equivalent to pseudo-legendaries, 600 points, and an ability like Endurance that made it grow stronger the longer the battle lasted, Arcaludon's strength in reality often surpassed many pseudo-legendaries. No problem. I'll ask Dad to help find one. Duraludon is definitely worth raising, Dylan murmured, feeling quite satisfied. The peaceful night passed quickly, and it was now 8 a.m. as usual. Good morning, big brother. When Dylan arrived in the backyard, he found Lily, wearing a white nightdress, already up and preparing breakfast for the Mioscarata and the others.
Why didn't you sleep a bit more?
Dylan walked over and gently ruffled his adorable little sister's golden hair, smiling as he asked. Sister Eileen aid that a beautiful girl needs to go to bed early and wake up early so her skin can stay healthy and full of energy, Lily replied, her pretty smile a bit shy. This young lady was naturally reserved and modest, coming from a wealthy and influential family. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that in the Alola region, Lily, as the heiress of the Ether Foundation, was akin to a princess.
And
I also wanted to help Big Brother with the gym, Lily added, her voice growing softer. She felt that she had been too idle staying here every day.
Is that so?
Then I'll leave the task of preparing food for Mioscarata and the others to you, Dylan agreed, realizing that while he had been taking care of Lily, she did indeed seem to have too much free time.
Yes. Don't worry, Big Brother, Lily exclaimed happily.
Could I also occasionally help welcome challengers with the receptionist, she asked, looking at Dylan expectantly.
Back at the Ether Foundation, Luzaman hadn't allowed her to take on such frontline tasks.
But Lily thought this could help her feel more like a part of the gym.
Of course you can. You don't need to ask me about everything.
Lily, you're my little sister and practically a co-owner of this gym. You can do whatever you like, Dylan chuckled. It was evident that after the events of the past couple of days, Lily had opened up a lot to him and wasn't as timid as before.
Thank you, Big Brother.
I'll go back to preparing breakfast for Dragonite and the others, Lily said, her delicate face beaming with joy as she ran over to the waiting Pokémon, her white skirt fluttering. She's such a sweet sister, Dylan thought, feeling uplifted by Lily's cheerful demeanor.
M.O. All right, come here.
Nebby floated over sleepily, still drowsy, and settled in Dylan's arms. Dylan's hands glowed with a green light as he gently stroked Nebby's face, calming the little one back into a peaceful sleep. It was Monday, and the Rota Gym had reopened for business.
By the morning, 5 challengers had already arrived. Unfortunately, none of them stood out, but after the battles, Dylan responsibly pointed out their weaknesses. At noon, a few special visitors arrived at the gym.
Wow, the gym is huge, exclaimed the blue-haired girl, the middle of the Cerulean sisters, Violet. It looks like Dylan comes from a wealthy family, remarked Flint, the current Pewter City gym leader, whose tan skin and squinty eyes bore a striking resemblance to Brock's. Although constructing a gym could receive subsidies from the league, building one this grand and spacious certainly required a significant personal investment. Their attention soon fell on the rotating attraction that had been causing a buzz online, filled with curiosity.
Hello, are you here to challenge the gym? Lily and the receptionist approached with sweet smiles, asking the visitors. Are all of Dylan's staff such beautiful young ladies?
Daisy, with her soft yellow hair and gentle features, admired Lily and the receptionist, especially Lily, whose fair skin and delicate face sparked envy.
Hello, we're here to see Dylan.
We've already arranged a meeting, said Erica, the black-haired gym leader, her calm and elegant voice matching her modern attire.
You're gym leader, Erica, aren't you? Lily and the receptionist exchanged a glance.
Yes, that would be me. Oh, the gym leader is already expecting you. Please follow me, the receptionist said, having been informed by Dylan that other gym leaders would be visiting today. Lily then headed to the backyard to find Dylan while the visitors were escorted to the reception room. Sorry, I was just in the backyard giving some special training to the Pokémon.
Miss Erica, why didn't you notify me when you arrived so I could come and greet you?
Dylan hurried over and apologized to the group. No need to be so formal, gym leader Dylan.
We're not important people or anything, Daisy waved her hand with a cheerful smile. Ha ha ha, Daisy is right.
We're all gym leaders here, just visiting each other, Flint laughed. Since Pewter City and Cerulean City weren't far from Rota, when they learned from the gym leader chat that Erica planned to visit Dylan, he and Daisy decided to join the visit. After all, being fellow gym leaders and neighbors, it was only natural to stay in touch.
Please have some tea. The receptionist brought over some tea.
Lately, gym leader Dylan, you've been quite famous.
Your Rota gym is the hottest topic online.
That's right, it's been over 2 months, and no one has earned your badge yet.
It's been tough for us. Challengers are already hard to handle, and now there are so many poison-type trainers. Oh, so you're dealing with it too? Lately, challengers have been relentless.
Several have started with toxic spikes, and my Onyx and Graveler have been using a lot of antidotes every day. Daisy, Violet, Lily, and Flint donned pained expressions, venting their frustrations about the recent challengers.
Dylan's smile was a bit awkward. He sipped some tea to ease the tension.
It feels like my dugong's resistance to poison has increased.
But the worst are those ghost-obsessed challengers.
I haven't been able to sleep well lately, Violet said, cupping her cheeks in despair. They start with a ghastly using curse, then just stall for time. Poor Dugong suffers so much, it's truly unnecessary.
Our Pokémon are already struggling.
Even in a fair fight, we wouldn't stand a chance, Lily and Violet grumbled.
Who could understand their pain? Ever since Rotogym's rise, everyone knew Cerulean Gym was considered the weakest. Yet challengers still used such dirty tactics against them. Didn't they feel even a little guilty? You're dealing with this too? Flint exclaimed in surprise.
There have been a lot more poison-type trainers challenging my gym recently as well, Erica said with a sigh. Fortunately, she had plenty of grass/poison Pokémon on her team. Lily, sitting beside Dylan, struggled to hold back her laughter because Erica and the others were all giving Dylan the same look.
Gym leader Dylan, who do you think is responsible for starting this trend? Violet teased.
They were all supposed to take it easy, yet Dylan not only stepped up his game but did so in a devious way, and now challengers were following suit.
Cough, cough, have some tea.
This tea is a rare collection from my father, give it a try. Dylan feigned ignorance and lifted his cup, gesturing to the others.
Who started this trend?
It had nothing to do with him, he was just an ordinary gym leader responsible for testing challengers.
This tea is delightful.
Erica gracefully lifted her cup, taking a sip and expressing her admiration. She loved flower arranging and tea tasting, so she was quite the expert. If you like it, Miss Erica, you can take some with you later. The same goes for you, Miss Daisy and Mr. Flint, Dylan offered with a smile.
You're too kind, gym leader Dylan.
No need to refuse. It's not often that you all come by, you should at least take some local specialties back with you, Dylan said generously. It was, after all, the first time other gym leaders had come to visit. It made Dylan quite happy, as it showed recognition of his status as a gym leader. Then I won't stand on ceremony, Erica said modestly. In front of others, she was always the perfect, elegant young lady, although she acted very differently in the chat group.
Thank you, gym leader Dylan. You're so generous, gym leader Dylan.
Daisy and Flint no longer declined. Although they had been complaining earlier, it was all in good fun. Besides, Cerulean Gym would soon be handed over to Misty, and it was the same for Flint. Brock wanted to focus on being a Pokémon breeder, and Flint had already begun training his second son, Forrest, who showed even more potential as a trainer.
After some chatting, Erica got straight to the point. Gym leader Dylan, do you have time for a match? I'd love for you to give me some pointers.
Erica smiled softly as she requested the battle, showing her eagerness to improve.
Challengers were getting increasingly challenging, with more and more poison-type trainers appearing around Kanto due to Dylan's influence.
The number of people using poison-type teams was growing, making it especially tough for a grass-type specialist like Erica. Though there were plenty of grass/poison Pokémon in Kanto, Erica felt the need to strengthen herself further. And she saw Dylan as the perfect opponent, she was well aware of his strength.
I wouldn't call it giving pointers, but how about we have a standard gym battle? Let's improve together, Dylan didn't refuse. Once the battle was agreed upon, Dylan and Erica moved to the arena. Would you like to use the spinning wheel? Dylan asked, pointing to the device.
I'll give it a try, Erica tilted her head cutely. She didn't want to waste the opportunity, as she was now in the role of the challenger. Erica walked up to the spinning wheel and placed her hand on it curiously.
The pointer spun quickly, finally landing on the blue area, ghost type.
Erica furrowed her brows slightly, but then her expression relaxed.
This would be fine. The battle for the Rota badge will now begin.
The competitors are Gym Leader Dylan and Miss Erica. The rules are 4 versus 4.
Gym Leader Dylan will send out his Pokemon first, and he cannot switch during the battle. The winner will be decided when one side's 4 Pokemon are unable to continue. Let the battle begin.
Violet eagerly volunteered to act as the referee, announcing the rules and adding the Rota badge as the prize, making it an official gym battle. A match between my brother and Gym Leader Erica. In the audience, Lily watched with great interest as the elegant black-haired Gym Leader Erica prepared for battle.
This is intriguing.
A gym leader challenging another's gym, such a thing could go viral, Flint said with amusement, having never heard of such an occurrence. It does imply that Gym Leader Erica thinks of Dylan as the stronger one, which is why she took on the role of a challenger, Daisy commented. After all, Erica was different from the Cerulean sisters. She had real talent as a trainer and was keen on improving herself. On the field. Since you're the challenger, Miss Erica, I don't need to introduce myself.
Miss Erica, I'll be using a Ghost-type team for this battle. Are you ready? Dylan adjusted his black shirt's collar and took out a Pokeball, speaking to Erica calmly.
If he was going to battle Erica, he had to show some skill, as she was no pushover. Please guide me, Gym Leader Dylan. Erica took a deep breath, her expression becoming serious as she responded to Dylan. Gym Leader Erica from Celadon City, ready for the challenge.
Chapter 128, What Had Changed Her?
The Ghost type, a type that has always been rather mysterious.
However, as the gym leader of Celadon City, Erica has battled against trainers specializing in ghost types before.
She considered herself fairly knowledgeable about ghost types, so there shouldn't be any major issues. And as a gym leader, she also trusted Dylan's integrity.
Dylan certainly wouldn't use his main team against her in battle. Erica was self-aware enough to know that if Dylan brought out his top-tier Pokemon, she would be utterly defeated.
Miss Erica, you're actually quite lucky. I just happened to obtain a pretty decent ghost-type Pokemon yesterday, Dylan said, expanding the Pokeball in his hand and flashing a warm, sunny smile.
Erica was taken aback upon hearing this.
I'll let you test its strength today, Dylan said as he tossed the Pokeball.
Cerulege. Get ready for battle.
In a flash of white light, a humanoid Pokemon clad in blue-purple armor slowly rose, unfolding the blade-like swords from its arms.
Wow!
This Pokemon is so cool, exclaimed Violet, who had rushed over from the training field after hearing about the battle, her eyes sparkling as she stared at Cerulege.
Its aura was cold and stern.
The blue-purple armor clung tightly to its body, and the energy blades of flame and ghostly power on its arms made it incredibly stylish and impressive. It was none other than Cerulege, the Fire/Ghost-type Pokemon that evolved from Charcadet.
Beep Cerulege, Fire/Ghost-type, Fire Swordsman Pokemon. Ability, Weak Armor.
Moves, Shadow Claw, Smokescreen, Flame Charge, Bitter Blade, Solar Blade, Phantom Force, Destiny Bond, Inherited.
Description:
The swords of flame on its arms burn with the resentment of a swordsman who perished before achieving his goals.
Daisy immediately pulled out her Pokédex to check Cerulege's data.
Indeed, Dylan had evolved his Charcadet into Cerulege last night and spent some time leveling it up in a growth simulation.
Unfortunately, Cerulege had not yet learned its signature move, Bitter Blade. Fire type 2?
Looks like it's going to be tough for Gym Leader Erica to deal with this one, Daisy said, holding her cheeks with a hint of concern for Erica. After all, Erica specialized in grass types, and all her Pokemon were grass type, which had a disadvantage against Cerulege's fire type.
Don't underestimate Gym Leader Erica, she's no pushover, Flint said.
Although he also felt it would be difficult for Erica to handle Cerulege, he was still rooting for her.
On the field. Fire and Ghost type, huh? Erica mused for a moment before throwing out her first Pokeball.
Victory Bell, I'm counting on you. In a flash of white light, a large Victory Bell with a yellow body covered in spots appeared before Erica. A leaf sprouted from its head, covering its gaping mouth, and at the tip of the leaf was a brown vine with small yellow leaves. Below its gaping mouth were two fierce-looking eyes.
Beep Victory Bell, Grass/Poison type, Flycatcher Pokemon.
Ability,
chlorophyll. Moves: Leaf Storm, Power Whip, Sludge Wave, Sweet Scent, Sleep Powder, Toxic, Synthesis. Description: it dissolves its prey, which are drawn by the sweet scent of its nectar. This is a brutal plant Pokemon. Seeing Victreebel's impressive stats on the Pokédex, Daisy blinked in admiration.
As the challenger, gym leader Erica will make the first move, Dylan gestured, allowing Erica to begin. Then I won't hold back, Erica said, her expression serious. After all, her opponent was Dylan, so she had to be very cautious. Victreebel, use Sweet Scent. Victreebel opened its giant mouth, releasing a large amount of sweet pink aroma that drifted towards Ceruledge. Sweet Scent, a normal-type move, uses the pleasant fragrance to attract the opponent, making it easier to land attacks. Smokescreen, Dylan said with a calm smile. Ceruledge swung its arm blades, and an eruption of high-temperature flames exploded outward, spreading black smoke in all directions. A fire-type smokescreen. The smokescreen engulfed the sweet scent completely, and the residual smoke continued to expand toward Victreebel. Victreebel, use Sludge Wave, Erica ordered without hesitation. Victreebel spewed a large amount of toxic sludge from its mouth to meet the incoming smokescreen, a poison-type move, Sludge Wave. The wave of sludge crashed into the smokescreen, and before long, the sludge wave had overpowered the smoke and continued advancing. As expected, this Ceruledge wasn't particularly strong yet. Its growth probably lagged behind Victreebel's, Erica realized. Dylan, being the skilled gym leader he was, wouldn't use his top-tier Pokemon against her. That much was clear. Good gym leaders like him always adjust the strength of their Pokemon based on the challenger's level. Phantom Force. With a swift slash of its right arm blade, Ceruledge opened a deep rift in space and vanished into it. Phantom Force, a ghost-type move, allows the user to enter another dimension and then strike the opponent. It's somewhat similar to Giratina's signature move, Shadow Force, but there's a fundamental difference in reality. Giratina's Shadow Force is actually quite overpowered. Of course, right now, the focus was on the battle. Victreebel, stay alert and watch your surroundings, Erica shouted. Victreebel responded, its eyes scanning cautiously, while the vine on top of its head twitched in anticipation. Suddenly, a dark rift opened behind Victreebel, and Ceruledge emerged, its arm blade glowing with ghostly energy as it slashed downward. Victreebel, behind you. Victreebel quickly turned, but the Phantom Force blade had already landed. Phantom Force struck Victreebel, causing it to cry out in pain. However, in the next instant, Victreebel's vine shot out and wrapped around Ceruledge's neck. Ceruledge's eyes flashed coldly as it attempted to slash through the vine with its arm blades, but it wasn't that easy. Victreebel, use Sleep Powder. Flame Charge, Dylan said with a raised brow. Victreebel spat out a large amount of powder from its mouth, but flames suddenly burst from Ceruledge's body, and the approaching powder was incinerated before it could reach the fire-slash-ghost Pokemon. This. Erica furrowed her brow. Dylan's reaction time was incredibly fast. In her mind, that sleep powder should have been a guaranteed hit. Even if Ceruledge attacked Victreebel with its blades, putting Ceruledge to sleep would have been worth it. But now the sleep powder was ineffective, and the flame charge couldn't be avoided either. As she expected, Ceruledge slammed into Victreebel with Flame Charge. Bang! Flame Charge struck Victreebel directly, causing it to cry out in pain. The Fire-type move was super effective against the Grass-type Victreebel, and the damage was significant. Not only that, but with the successful hit, Ceruledge's speed increased by a level. However, Victreebel's vine remained tightly wrapped around Ceruledge's neck, squeezing even tighter. One more flame charge, Dylan ordered decisively. Ceruledge's flames ignited once again, and it charged into Victreebel once more. Victreebel cried out in pain, visibly weakened from the hit. Victreebel, use Toxic. Erica shouted suddenly. Despite the pain, Victreebel managed to open its mouth and spray a deep purple liquid onto Ceruledge's face. Ceruledge shook its head uncomfortably, but the toxic liquid had already seeped into its system. The next second, Ceruledge showed signs of pain, with deep purple poison spots appearing on its body, emitting a terrifying toxic glow. The first wave of toxic corrosion.
Erica's expression brightened instantly. The toxic attack hit. This was excellent news. Dylan raised an eyebrow as he glanced at Erica. Well, this elegant grass-type specialist is using poison now? And her expression doesn't seem quite right either? Nicely done, Gym Leader Erica. On the spectator seats, Flint excitedly waved his arm. If the toxic hit, it's just a matter of time for Ceruledge now. Dylan can't switch out his Pokemon, said Daisy, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Erica is amazing. Violet cheered, rooting for Erica. Indeed, to deal with the ghost-type Pokemon, you had to fight fire with fire, or, in this case, poison with poison. Who would have thought Dylan would experience being poisoned one day? Daisy remarked, almost in disbelief. Lily, Celine, and Asha. The receptionist will be now unnamed Asha. Victory Bell, use. Sludge Wave. Erica commanded, abandoning her earlier plan. She had originally considered using Synthesis to restore Victory Bell's health, but there wasn't enough time. Victory Bell couldn't withstand another attack from Ceruledge. Using Synthesis would be a death sentence. Seeing Erica's sudden change in tactics, Dylan couldn't help but chuckle. As expected from a gym leader of her caliber, she wasn't like the usual challengers. This decision to use Sludge Wave was spot on. Victory Bell let out a low cry as dark purple toxic sludge surged directly toward Ceruledge. Ceruledge let out a grunt. Although the poison-type Sludge Wave wasn't super effective against it, Victory Bell's high special attack made the damage quite respectable. Ceruledge endured the Sludge Wave, its eyes, seemingly ablaze, cold as ice. Ceruledge, Shadow Claw. Dylan called out. Victory Bell, another Sludge Wave. Erica quickly countered. But Ceruledge was far faster. Its cursed, glowing blade slashed through the air, leaving behind two eerie trails. Victory Bell froze in place. As Ceruledge coolly turned and lowered its arm blades, Victory Bell collapsed to the ground. Victory Bell is unable to battle. Ceruledge wins. Violet declared, announcing the result of the match. On the scoreboard, Victory Bell's icon dimmed on Erica's side. You've done well, Victory Bell. Rest up now, Erica sighed as she recalled her Pokemon, offering it some comforting words. Though she had lost the round, there was no doubt that Victory Bell had laid the foundation for Erica's strategy. The once intimidating Ceruledge was now poisoned. Her plan was now crystal clear, just like the challengers who often faced her with poison-type tactics. This strategy was certainly effective. That was an excellent performance by your Victory Bell, Miss Erica. You truly live up to your reputation as Celadon City's renowned gym leader, Dylan praised her, impressed with her performance. Calm, rational, and sharp-minded Erica had made all the right decisions, especially considering that she had a type disadvantage against Ceruledge. You flatter me, gym leader Dylan, Erica replied modestly, a soft smile on her face. Let's continue then. I'm curious to see how you plan to deal with my Ceruledge next, Dylan gestured for Erica to proceed. My second Pokemon will be this one. Erica's expression turned serious as she threw her second Pokeball. Jumpluff, I'm counting on you. Dylan was momentarily taken aback by the name. The Pokeball opened in a flash of white light, revealing an adorably small, blue Pokemon floating in front of Erica. Its body was round and blue, with three cotton-like puffs extending from its body, and its face beamed with a lively smile. It was none other than the grass-slash-flying type, Jumpluff. Looking at the little Pokemon, Dylan found himself deep in thought. What a cute Pokemon, Lily exclaimed, her eyes lighting up as she pulled out her Pokédex to scan it. Beep. Jumpluff, grass-slash-flying type, Conweed Pokemon. Ability, Chlorophyll. Moves, U-Turn, Cotton Spore, Acrobatics, Leech Seed, Protect, Synthesis, Tailwind, Pollen Puff. Description: no matter what kind of wind blows, it can skillfully control its cotton to travel anywhere in the world it wishes to go. Lily smiled at the entry. She couldn't help but find this Pokemon utterly adorable. Its smile was so contagious. Miss Erica, Dylan said thoughtfully after a moment. What is it, Mr. Dillon? Erica asked, her curiosity piqued. Perhaps it's not my place to ask, but you're not planning to stall for time and let Saralidge faint from poison, are you? Surely, that's not the plan, right? Dillon carefully phrased his question. Jumpluff was very fast and had the advantage of flight. Coupled with moves like Protect, stalling Saralidge out until the poison took effect was certainly feasible. Dillon genuinely had no countermeasures. He couldn't switch out Saralidge, and Saralidge wasn't a flying type, nor was it proficient in special attacks. But Erica was a refined and nature-loving lady, a distinguished grass-type gym leader. Surely she wouldn't resort to such underhanded tactics, right? Even though Erica had a lively and energetic side in private, this was an official gym battle, and other gym leaders, like Daisy and Flint, were watching. Given her poise and noble upbringing, Erica wouldn't stoop to such a lowly tactic, right? She would surely opt for an honorable victory. Erica remained silent. The deafening silence made Dillon freeze as well. Something didn't add up. In his memory, Erica wasn't this kind of person. What had changed her? Chapter 129, was he really that confident? Erica awkwardly tucked her hair behind her ear, her pale neck flushing slightly as she faced Dillon's strange gaze. It seems she really did intend to use that tactic, Dillon confirmed. Well, Erica wasn't exactly the same as he remembered her. Perhaps, because she was facing such a powerful opponent, she had no choice but to employ special strategies. Dillon nodded. To defeat a strong opponent, one must use every tool at their disposal. Nothing wrong with that. Saralidge. Dillon called out to Saralidge. Saralidge raised its arm blades, but just as it was about to act, a deep purple glow of poison flared up around it, causing Saralidge to bow its head in pain. The second wave of toxic erosion. Jumpluff, Tailwind. Erica quickly commanded Jumpluff. Jumpluff chirped joyfully, flapping the two cottony balls on either side of it. A powerful gust of wind blew from behind it, settling underneath Jumpluff. A flying-type Tailwind, boosting the speed of her Pokémon for a period of time. Phantom Force. Dillon raised an eyebrow. Saralidge's eyes flickered with a ghostly flame, and it slashed with its right arm, opening a rift in space. A ghost-type Phantom Force attack. Trying to hit Jumpluff through normal means would be too difficult. Saralidge wasn't as fast as Jumpluff to begin with, and even after 2 speed boosts from Flame Charge, it still couldn't match the Jumpluff empowered by Tailwind. And that's without mentioning that Jumpluff had the aerial advantage. Even if Saralidge specialized in ranged attacks, which it didn't, it would be hard to hit a Jumpluff that was deliberately dodging. Jumpluff, stay alert! Erica called out to her Pokémon. Jumpluff swayed gently with the wind, scanning its surroundings. Soon enough, the rift appeared behind Jumpluff in midair, and Saralidge emerged, its glowing blade slashing down toward Jumpluff. Jumpluff! Dodge quickly! Jumpluff sensed the movement behind it and, without turning, flew forward with the aid of Tailwind. The blade of Phantom Force slashed down but cut only through air Jumpluff had dodged. Erica's companions, watching the battle, let out a sigh of relief. Saralidge, Flame Charge! But just then, Dillon's voice rang out. Relaxing too soon was a mistake. Saralidge had begun falling back to the ground after missing its attack, but suddenly, flames flared up around it. A Fire-type Flame Charge. Using the momentum from Flame Charge, Saralidge shot toward Jumpluff at high speed. This sudden turn of events startled Erica. Jumpluff! Use Protect! As Flame Charge closed in, Jumpluff retreated and quickly conjured a protective barrier, a green shield appearing in front of it. Bang! Flame Charge collided with the Protect barrier, successfully blocked. Quick reflexes, Dillon chuckled softly, impressed by Jumpluff's reaction speed. The flames of Flame Charge faded, and without the ability to fly, Saralidge plummeted toward the ground. But at that moment, the deep purple glow of poison flared up again around Saralidge, hideous blotches appearing on its skin as the third wave of toxic damage hit. Saralidge let out a pained grunt, the poison's third attack proving quite severe. Jumpluff, Acrobatics! Jumpluff spun in the air, launching itself toward the poisoned Saralidge at high speed. A flying-type acrobatics attack. When the user is not holding an item, acrobatics power doubles. Bang! Jumpluff crashed into Cerulege, sending it tumbling heavily to the ground. Though Jumpluff's attack power wasn't particularly high, this well-timed strike against an already weakened opponent did serious damage. Sunny day. Erica, finding her rhythm, called out excitedly, her voice filled with enthusiasm. This is incredible. Oh my gosh. She was actually putting pressure on Dylan. As expected, grass types and poison types are a natural pair. A grass-type Pokemon with poison is the real deal. Jumpluff, riding the wind, ascended higher as a glowing orb formed in front of it and shot up into the sky, casting Sunny Day, a fire-type move. Brilliant sunlight began to bathe the battlefield, and Jumpluff's body started to shine with a green light. This was Jumpluff's Chlorophyll ability. Chlorophyll, when the weather is sunny, the Pokemon's speed doubles. This was the final nail in the coffin. Dylan watched the sunlit Jumpluff and shook his head. Now it was up to Erica to defend against what came next. Erica is amazing. Violet, watching the battle, sparkled with excitement. There was no question that Erica had the absolute advantage now. That Cerulege is built for direct combat, and it's quite powerful. Although the poison has weakened it, Erica's strategy has been impeccable. Daisy commented. Daisy's understanding of battle mechanics was superior to her companions, and she couldn't help but admire Erica's tactics. Cerulege was meant for straightforward fights, but with the poison damage and its inability to fly, it was no match for Jumpluff. Especially now that Sunny Day and Chlorophyll had come into play. No wonder she's a gym leader, added the trio of Lily, and Aster, though they didn't seem too worried. This was, after all, just Dylan's first Pokemon. At this point, Cerulege was in bad shape. It had already taken a hit from Victory Bell's Sludge Bomb, been poisoned 3 times, and then hit with acrobatics. If Jumpluff's attack power were any higher, Cerulege would have been down by now. And because of the hit from acrobatics, Cerulege's weak armor ability had triggered, lowering its defense but sharply boosting its speed. But it still wasn't enough to outpace Jumpluff. The key now was one thing. Will it use Destiny Bond? Erica wondered, her mind racing. When battling a ghost-type Pokemon, you can never be too careful even if the opponent is on the brink of defeat. After all, no one knows if the opponent will go for a one-for-one trade. As an experienced gym leader, Erica was well aware of this. But she didn't know if Cerulege could learn Destiny Bond. What's the matter, Erica? Too scared to attack? Look at Cerulege's condition, let your Jumpluff strike. What are you hesitating for? Dylan smiled as he noticed Erica's hesitation. He could guess what she was thinking. Dylan really has a wicked sense of humor. Erica pursed her lips, unsure if Dylan was baiting her into attacking or if he was bluffing. Maybe Cerulege didn't know Destiny Bond after all? For a moment, the battlefield was quiet. Cerulege, Phantom Fork. Jumpluff, Solar Beam. Dylan's lips curled into a faint smile, as he pretended to order Cerulege to attack. But Erica, acting swiftly, gave her command. A brilliant white light gathered in front of Jumpluff, Solar Beam, one of the most powerful grass-type moves. Normally, it requires charging, but with Sunny Day, it could be fired immediately. Though Solar Beam wasn't very effective against the fire-type Cerulege, in Cerulege's current state, it was more than enough to knock it out. She took the bait. In Dylan's eyes, the smile deepened as the sunlight transformed into a white beam, breaking through the air. Cerulege, Dylan said, the smile at the corner of his mouth growing wider. Cerulege looked up at the incoming beam of sunlight, unperturbed. That calm, accepting death posture. Oh no! Gym leader Erica has been provoked by gym leader Dylan. He did it on purpose. Flint, watching the battle, changed his expression. If the sunlight hit, Cerulege absolutely wouldn't withstand it. But the connection of Destiny Bond would take Jumpluff down with it. Erica, how could you fall for Dylan's trick? It was indeed a connection. Erica's expression hardened, but then she broke into a smile. Mr. Dylan. I've already guessed. Jumpluff.
With Erica's words, Jumpluff suddenly turned its body, and the beam of sunlight changed direction, shooting past Cerelige from the side.
Boom!
The sunlight struck the ground, causing a series of rumbling explosions where it swept through, but surprisingly, the beam did not hit Cerelige.
Ah! This works too? Erica's sister was stunned. She predicted that the gym leader brother would have Cerelige use Destiny Bond. Daisy was somewhat surprised. The sudden change in the direction of the sunlight was clearly premeditated. This gym leader of Celadon City was indeed not without merit, she truly had skill. However, Daisy looked at Cerelige, her expression odd. Had Cerelige really just used Destiny Bond? Damn! That beam of sunlight was amazing. Wow! Gym leader Erica. That was incredible. Destiny Bond can't be used consecutively, so gym leader Erica is going to win this round. Flint and his companions were also amazed. This deliberately angled beam of sunlight had successfully baited out Destiny Bond. Impressive, great awareness, Dylan applauded Erica without holding back. This proactive attack to bait out Destiny Bond was a good move. Destiny Bond was a truly shameless ultimate move that could result in a 1-for-1 trade at critical health, and once successful, it was practically impossible to defend against. However, such a bug-like move couldn't be used consecutively. Once Destiny Bond was baited out, it would be a chance to take down the opponent. Thank you for your praise, gym leader Dylan, Erica smiled, knowing it was time to send Cerelige off. Jumpluff, solar beam. Jumpluff gathered sunlight again, a white beam descending from the sky. Destiny Bond. But Dylan calmly uttered those two words at that moment. Erica's pupils shook. Destiny Bond? How could this be? Cerelige's eyes flashed with darkness, standing there calmly facing the falling beam of sunlight. Wait! Jumpluff! Erica panicked and called out to Jumpluff. Jumpluff also wanted to redirect the beam, but it was too rushed, the beam was already nearing Cerelige. Boom! The beam finally hit Cerelige, a violent roar sounded, and a fierce wind burst forth. When the energy of the beam dissipated, Cerelige was already down and unable to rise, but a gray aura shot rapidly toward the Jumpluff in the air. Seeing this, Erica's face turned pale. It really was Destiny Bond. Destiny Bond successfully connected with Jumpluff, causing it to feel excruciating pain, and then it fell from the air, crashing to the ground. Jumpluff had also lost its fighting ability. Flint and his companions were dumbfounded. The scene fell into silence. Erica's heart was in turmoil. This wasn't right. Gym leader Erica, the poison is about to arrive, you could have won this round, Dylan suddenly spoke. Mr. Dylan, you. Upon hearing this, Erica tightly pressed her lips together, her voice slightly hoarse. Yes, the fourth round of poison was indeed approaching, but she really hadn't anticipated it. Gym leader Erica, although your awareness deserves praise, you were too cautious about Destiny Bond. Dylan shook his head. After Jumpluff's first solar beam attack, when did you get the illusion that I would have Cerelige use Destiny Bond? Erica bit her lip tightly. As long as the first solar beam hit, Cerelige would definitely lose its fighting ability. She wanted to ask, in that situation, how could Dylan dare not have Cerelige use Destiny Bond? If she had just ordered Jumpluff to attack, Cerelige would have gone down directly. How could he have the audacity to gamble on that? Courage was an essential quality for a trainer, but this was an extraordinary level of bravery. Was he really that confident? What kind of psychological master was he? Chapter 130, Jengar. Although she technically defeated Cerelige, Erica couldn't be happy. It was a 2-for-1 trade. And Jumpluff, who had been in perfect condition, was taken down. It was a major loss. Dylan is truly a master. Flint, who had been silent for a long time in the audience, finally sighed, full of genuine admiration. Dylan completely grasped Erica's psychology. He predicted that Erica would be cautious of Destiny Bond, so he gambled that she wouldn't dare to let Jumpluff attack Cerelige with the first solar beam. It was a wild gamble. And he hit the mark.
A trainer with this kind of gambler's mentality, combined with Destiny Bond, was too formidable when it worked. Destiny Bond might be a buggy move, but making it work against an excellent trainer who was on guard wasn't easy.
Yet based on what just happened, Dylan was a master at it.
The title of the Wicked Ghost really suits him, Flint added, still in awe, admitting his own inferiority. No wonder people online referred to the Roto Gym as the Wicked Ghost Gym. Even an experienced gym leader like Erica had fallen for Dylan's tricks.
Let alone regular challengers. Compared to Dylan, those challengers are just out of their league. Exactly.
Many of them try to mimic Dylan's tactics, but imitation only gets them so far. To truly master it, they'd have to put in a lot of effort.
And let's not forget, Dylan's mind and his nerves of steel are something ordinary people can't replicate. Flint and the others continued discussing. On the battlefield,
Erica had already regained her composure. Although she was at a disadvantage, it wasn't a big deal. After all, this was just a friendly spar. It seems Miss Erica has recovered.
Now, for my second Pokemon, it's this one.
Sensing the shift in Erica's emotions, Dylan praised her and casually tossed out his second Pokeball.
Gengar. Prepare for battle.
A flash of light revealed a shadow on the ground in front of Dylan, and from that shadow leaped a gray-black Gengar. It grinned wickedly with its orange-yellow eyes, full of malice, glaring at Erica.
It was none other than Gengar, a ghost/poison-type Pokemon. A Gengar?
But this color.
Erica instantly recognized the Pokemon.
After all, Gengar was one of the most famous ghost types in the Kanto region. Gengar was also the signature Pokemon of Agatha, one of the Elite Four, known to everyone. Beep Gengar, ghost/poison type, the Shadow Pokemon. Ability, Cursed Body.
Moves:
Shadow Ball, Hypnosis, Dream Eater, Destiny Bond, Perish Song, Hex, Mean Look, Pain Split. Description: on a full moon night, if your shadow moves on its own and grins at you, it's definitely Gengar's doing.
This Gengar was strong.
Looking at the data of Dylan's shiny Gengar, Daisy was already beginning to worry about Erica.
Mr. Dylan? Erica had seen Gengar many times before, but this one was clearly different. The color was off.
Gengar was usually a deep purple with blood-red eyes, but Dylan's Gengar was gray-black.
Yes, this one's shiny, Dylan smiled, introducing it.
This was the shiny Gengar that evolved from the shiny Ghastly given to him by none other than Proton.
So that's it. Mr. Dylan, you're really lucky, Erica sighed. Shiny Pokemon were incredibly rare, and Gengar was a strong Pokemon in its own right.
I'm grateful for the support of two friends. Without them, I wouldn't have this shiny Gengar. Dylan also sighed, his words filled with gratitude toward those two friends. Ah yes, he had to thank Proton and Archer, they were truly incredible.
Erica was curious. Who were these two friends of Dylan's, gifting him a shiny Gengar?
That was beyond generous. Gengar was already a powerful Pokemon, and as a ghost type, it was rare.
But a shiny Gengar? That level of rarity was even higher than pseudo-legendary Pokemon.
After all, shiny Pokemon were something you could only come across by chance. They were genuinely rare, even the Pokemon League would have trouble finding one. Gym leader Erica, you'd better be careful.
My Gengar is much harder to deal with than Cerulege, Dylan kindly warned Erica, smiling. Compared to Cerulege, Gengar was much more troublesome.
While Cerulege was more suited to direct combat, Gengar excelled not only in battle strength but also in its vast array of tricky tactics.
Kehihahaha. Gengar grinned menacingly, its mouth seeming larger than its body. I understand. Erica's eyes grew serious. Vileplume.
After a moment of thought, Erica sent out her Vileplume. Gengar was a poison type, and Dylan was famous for his expertise with poison types.
Erica knew she had to be cautious.
Vileplume, being a grass/poison type, wouldn't be affected by poison.
A wise choice, Dylan nodded in approval.
As usual, gym leader Erica, you may take the first move. Dylan maintained his gentlemanly demeanor, and as the challenger, Erica was entitled to the first attack.
Vileplume, use Weather Ball. Erica wasted no time. Although Vileplume was immune to poison, its matchup against Gengar was still poor. Both of Vileplume's grass and poison moves were ineffective against Gengar, and it didn't have many other options. Luckily, it was still sunny, which activated Vileplume's chlorophyll ability, and Weather Ball became a fire-type move.
With a low growl, Vileplume summoned a ball of light, which quickly condensed sunlight into a weather ball that shot toward Gengar at high speed. In the bright sunlight, Weather Ball became a fire-type move, and its power doubled.
Dodge and get close, Dylan said with a faint smile.
Gengar grinned and slowly sank into the shadow on the ground, easily dodging the weather ball.
The black shadow then slid swiftly toward Vileplume.
Gengar possessed a shadow-based ability similar to Darkray's, an innate talent of the Gengar line.
Vileplume, use Dazzling Gleam.
Erica immediately commanded Vileplume upon seeing this. Vileplume's body glowed with pink light, sending out beams of Dazzling Gleam in all directions.
Fairy-type Dazzling Gleam.
Though not very effective against Gengar, it forced it out of its shadow form. The beam struck the ground, and Gengar, unable to approach, reappeared and floated back up.
Mean look.
Gengar's eyes glowed with an eerie black light, and Vileplume's shadow was cast over with a layer of darkness.
Vileplume couldn't be withdrawn anymore.
Vileplume, use Sweet Scent.
Erica furrowed her brow. Mean Look was one of Dylan's commonly used moves. She had paid particular attention to this while studying the Roto Gym.
The large red flower on Vileplume's head released a pink mist, spreading toward Gengar.
Curse. Dylan's smile grew wider. Did Erica think that stopping Gengar from getting close was enough? Too naive.
He could have Gengar attack with special moves, but Dylan didn't prefer that in a gym battle.
After all, the point of a gym battle was to let the challenger enjoy the experience, right?
The plump purple figure, wait, no, it should be the plump gray Gengar, let out a sinister laugh as its body rose, and a decaying nail, exuding a foreboding aura, appeared in front of Gengar.
A ghost-type curse. Ding ding ding, the ancient cursed nail hammered into Gengar's body one strike at a time.
Gengar's face contorted with pain, letting out cries of agony, but within the cries was an eerie sense of enjoyment. Daisy and her two sisters, hearing this, crossed their arms as goosebumps covered their skin.
Is this Gengar and masochist? They wondered. Why does it enjoy self-inflicted pain from the curse?
A sweet fragrance drifted in, and Gengar inhaled deeply. Its expression twisted, a mix of pain and pleasure, a truly disturbing and terrifying sight.
Weather Ball.
Vileplume let out a low growl, and a fiery weather ball formed, shooting toward Gengar at high speed.
Boom!
The weather ball struck Gengar, and flames erupted. Gengar was pushed back, but since the fire-type weather ball wasn't super effective, Gengar could withstand it, even in its weakened state.
However, Gengar's energy noticeably weakened further. The self-inflicted damage from the curse was taking a toll.
But the curse had already been cast.
The gray aura flashed like lightning and struck Vileplume.
A sharp pain surged through Vileplume, and a chilling gray-black glow enveloped its body, causing it to bend over in agony.
The ghost-type curse had taken hold.
Pain split, Dylan said, his smile eerily similar to Gengar's. Gengar's mouth stretched into a wide grin as white light surrounded it.
The normal-type move Pain Split. It combines the HP of both Pokémon, splitting it evenly between them. Vileplume. Erica's expression shifted dramatically. Vileplume's body glowed with the same white light.
Two energy orbs floated from Vileplume and Gengar, merging in mid-air, then splitting evenly before returning to their respective Pokémon.
Hee.
Gengar raised its head in satisfaction as its injuries healed noticeably, but Vileplume was left significantly weakened.
Erica's face darkened.
Pain Split only resulted in Vileplume sharing Gengar's pain.
How disgusting. Gengar was clearly a strong special attacker, so why was Dylan using it like this? Stay calm, Erica, you need to stay calm. She glanced up.
The sunny weather was still lingering, but it wouldn't last long.
Vileplume, use Moonlight. Erica commanded. Vileplume, now weakened by Pain Split, needed to recover quickly.
And the fairy-type moonlight would do the trick, especially under the sunny sky, where its healing effect was greatly enhanced. Jengar, use encore, Dylan said with a soft chuckle. Erica stared at Dylan, her eyes wide with disbelief.
Is he even human? He.
Jengar howled wildly, its short arms clapping toward Vileplume, releasing a mysterious pulse. Vileplume, about to use moonlight, was instead compelled to fire another weather ball. The fire-type weather ball shot toward the plump gray Jengar. Despite the lingering sweet scent, Jengar barely dodged the attack.
Erica fell silent. Once the weather ball ended, the gray aura once again enveloped Vileplume.
The ghost-type curse continued to ravage Vileplume's body, causing it to groan in pain.
Hypnosis. Dylan smiled faintly. Jengar's plump body flew quickly toward Vileplume, getting right in its face.
Vileplume looked up, locking eyes with Jengar. Mysterious waves of hypnosis rippled out, and Vileplume's eyes grew heavy, its head drooping as it fell into a deep sleep. With a thud, Vileplume collapsed to the ground, fast asleep under the effects of the psychic-type move hypnosis.
Erica remained silent. Dream Eater.
Jengar hovered before the sleeping Vileplume, laughing sinisterly as a blue light gleamed in its eyes.
A ghostly apparition of Jengar shot out, passing through Vileplume's body. The psychic-type move Dream Eater.
The attack hit perfectly, and even though Vileplume was asleep, its body trembled with pain, its expression twisted in agony. The shadowy Jengar figure returned to its original body. Jengar tilted its head back, relishing the meal, its health recovering significantly.
Dream Eater is a move that restores the user's HP. The classic hypnosis plus Dream Eater combo.
Vileplume, having its dreams devoured, now had swirly eyes and was completely unable to battle. Ever since Jengar used Encore, Erica had been silent, staring at her fainted Vileplume for quite some time. Her delicate fists clenched and unclenched, finally letting out a soft, resigned smile. Recalling her defeated Vileplume, Erica looked at Dylan. After a moment of thought, she finally spoke, cautiously.
Mr. Dylan, I have to ask, do you always treat your challengers like this? Have they ever, hit you? Erica really wanted to know, had Dylan ever been attacked in real life for treating challengers this way? Dylan?
That wraps up this part of What If Transmigrated as a Kanto gym leader.
Thanks so much for listening.
As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well.
See you in the next one.